Welcome to Armchair Expert. Bonus episode.
Fargo Week.
Chapter 2. Bonus episode. The one and only, the legendary Jon Hamm. Of course, Mad Men, The Town, Bridesmaids, Baby Driver, Legion, Lucy in the Sky, Top Gun Maverick.
Oh my God. 30 Rock.
30 Rock, Parks and Rec, Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh, that's fun.
He did The Morning Show, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Anyways, but we are here, of course, to talk to him a lot about Fargo, which we couldn't be more obsessed with. Very fun interview.
Very fun.
Very special.
So there's a scene in Fargo of Jon Hamm.
Okay.
And this song plays.
Oh.
It's so good, this scene with this song and that man.
India.
Huh?
A little bit of a sitar sound.
And did Linnea teach you about that?
I don't know my friends' names.
Baby, can you see?
Do you remember this?
A guy like you should wear a warning. It's dangerous. I'm falling.
You don't remember this?
Yes. That's a Billie Eilish song.
No, Britney Spears.
Oh, yeah.
Classic Britney Spears.
Yeah,
Toxic.
Toxic.
Oh. Fuck.
It's a really cool version.
It's such a good version, and paired with what's going on in that scene, oh my God, I had full body chills.
Yes, the strings, the sitar.
Jon Hamm is exceptional in this.
He is, I think, is the best work of his life.
Yeah.
It's really incredible. Please enjoy Jon Hamm.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Welcome.
Thanks.
You have a coffee. Would you like me to brew you a new one to have on standby? Because we have this great Ember mug. It'll keep it warm.
My
Not
therapist has
sponsored.
this.
The Ember?
I believe you
Let
can.
me fill one up for you. Just
Okay.
have it for shits and giggies.
Why not?
And then Monty lives directly across the street. She's building the house across the street.
Who?
Me.
Monica.
Which street?
This one right here in
you
the
know, we're in
neighborhood.
Laughlin
Laughlin
Park.
Park? Okay.
So
Yeah.
our other driveway exits in
Gotcha.
Laughlin Park.
When I was looking for my house, I was looking in Laughlin Park and couldn't really find anything.
Yeah, they come by few and far between.
You wouldn't believe the story that ended up with her getting that one. So really quick, that one had like 15 bidders.
Yeah.
Then there was an auction. Then it went to a probate court. Then they were literally in like a
Auction.
LA city court
Wow.
at an auction for her to get that one. And she won the auction.
It was really exciting.
Was it like literally raise your hand to bid auction?
Yeah. You
Tell
were-
them the secret weapon too.
I brought Kristen. And, she wasn't buying it, but that scared
Didn't matter,
everyone.
yeah.
Everyone's
Scared
intimidated because
everyone.
she was involved in that bidding and they got a sense like, oh, this bitch is going to go.
Well, they're like, oh yeah, she'll just keep going and going. She's a very rich woman.
Guys, this is amazing.
It is insane that I'm not a spokesperson for this company because I'm obsessed with it and it ends up coming up nonstop on the show. Because a lot of guests are genuinely like, why hasn't my coffee gotten cold? This is so lovely. And then I'm forced to explain.
Yeah, like I said, my therapist has one of those, and I'm constantly like distracted by it. When you're like, and anyway, my mom and this, and I'm like, what's in that? How's
How's that working?
that work? Does it do cold too?
Does it almost
I have
feel
so
like
many
he's
questions.
texting because it's high tech? It's like he's distracted by a device because
Yeah,
it's got
exactly.
batteries.
Is it a male therapist?
No, female.
Oh, nice. I wonder, do people gender
It's
up?
probably the same therapist that 100% of all of your friends go to because she's right in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Oh.
I see people I recognize coming and going all the time.
Oh, it's like an audition.
Totally.
Can you hear them inside doing the
Running
same role?
lines. My mom died and I was, that's mine.
Okay, so she's not yelling at that part. I was going to yell at that part. Maybe I shouldn't yell at that point.
No.
Have you had that moment where you're in an audition,
Oh, God.
where you're sitting in the lobby, and you hear someone in there, and they're virtually doing what all your decisions
Yeah.
were? And you're like, fuck, I got to flip this.
Now I got
immediate-
to completely turn it around.
I got to go the opposite direction.
I'm
and I
doing
haven't
it all in
dropped-
Spanish. I had that once for Step Brothers. Adam Scott and Riggle and me were all in the waiting room. It was Will and Adam McKay. I guess McKay was there. And I could hear Riggle going full Riggle in the room. Like I'm literally like, he's going to break through the wall. Like he's the Kool-Aid man. He's such a big Joyce guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to go 180 from that.
I got to whisper this.
I just whispered it and I did not get that part.
I, too, auditioned for that role. And I'll say it's among a handful of times where I didn't get something and then I was mad.
I haven't had very many of those, though. Have you?
Where I didn't
Where
get
you didn't get it and you were like, damn. A bunch of times I've been like, it's probably not going to be that good a movie.
Well,
and then it wasn't. That was one that was really good. I wish I was in it.
Yes. Again, so this is one of the cases where it's like Adam Scott got it. I didn't know Adam Scott all that well. I wasn't friends with him yet. Now I think he's like the
He's a
greatest
sweetheart. Adam's one of the first people I met in LA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, ages ago. Because he's buddies with Rudd. They were in acting school together.
Yeah, so he got that and I was resentful. And then I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, he's done it much better than I could have.
Super good.
And he deserves it. The other one I'll bore you with is James McAvoy was already in Wanted, but then he fell out because of a scheduling thing. And then they started reading people. And then I got to the finish line. They were negotiating a deal for me to be in Wanted. This is going to be the biggest opportunity of my career. And then he became available again. And then so I was out. And at that moment, I didn't know who James McAvoy was.
Not a lot of people did.
No. And then about 4 months later, I go and see Last King of Scotland. And I am having a transcendent experience watching this guy act like I was with Ewan McGregor in Trainspotting, to the point where I tell my girlfriend, I gotta fucking write this guy's name down when the credits come up. I gotta see everything he's done. And it comes up and it's this guy who I was hating. And I'm like, God bless. I would never hire me over this guy.
I remember that movie coming out. I was seeing ads for it on like the NFL or something. And I'm like, are we supposed to know who anybody in this other than Angelina Jolie is? It was pitched as like, this is the next thing, and this guy's amazing. And it was like directed by like Timur Bangbuklong.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, I don't know who this is, but I'm being sold as it is somebody I should know.
I was tracking it, of course, because it was like the thing that got away that I was convinced.
Can you imagine you in Wanted?
At the time I could, but no, looking back, it seems preposterous.
I couldn't tell you what that movie's about.
All I know is bullets
go
turn.
sideways. Yeah. You know what else had that set up? Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm misremembering this, but it was a movie from the 80s starring Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Yep.
And maybe Mick Jagger?
I remember it too.
And there was some kind of thing where the bullets could turn around.
He also, maybe Gene Simmons had little like
Spiders?
spider robots.
Yeah, spider robots. What was that movie?
What a film.
If only we had a device that could tell us every single movie.
An unanticipated aspect of this that we could completely geek out on forever is probably we've seen all those same insane movies of the early 80s,
For sure.
like Bronx Warriors,
100%
and all those gang movies.
Because of Blockbuster and early cable.
On TV. Did you guys have On in
On
St. Louis?
TV, yeah, for sure. I don't know if we had it there, but I definitely had it somewhere in
And
my
there
life.
was It.
It, the movie?
No, there was On TV, and then there was It. The competitor.
Well, I'm old enough to remember Channel Z from here.
Oh, and how did that work?
That was like a set-top box with buttons, manual analog buttons that you pressed.
Toggle switches.
Yeah, and you could go to Channel Z, which was essentially somewhere between like a public access and a HBO kind of double duty. From what I remember, again, I was probably 10 or 11 when I came out here, and I was like, Channel Z?
Wait, how did you come out here at 10?
Yeah,
or
that
11?
early?
My mother's baby sister, my Aunt Sue, had moved out here in the retail world. She worked for a company called J.W. Robinson's, which was an old department store out here. So she lived literally Three's Company in Brentwood in a swinging singles like apartment complex. And my mom, who was also single.
Oh, like one of the ones on San Vicente? Those kind of
right in there.
sexy-
Yeah.
Where'd Rob go? Oh, he's fucking
Not
perving
too,
out over.
Yeah, not too. Yeah, hello.
Where is he?
He's like up our ass with a
gross.
rubber nut.
Not too far away from the Nicole Simpson house. But this would have been because my mom was still alive. So I would have been like 9. It would have been like 1980.
Were you completely blown away and enamored with this setting?
I thought it was the coolest place I'd ever seen in my life. I remember they took me to Westwood. And there was I think they still have this store somewhere, but a store called Fiorucci.
Ooh.
And it was like a punk, neon, new wave clothing store. And I was like, whoa, like I can't. First of all, everything was so expensive.
Right.
That shirt cost $12. Like, there's no way. Yeah. And it was like a thing with like max headroom on it.
Everything was made of plastic and polymer.
And literally the neon glasses. Everybody was an extra in a Go-Go's video. I was just like, are you kidding me? This place exists. This is real. And then the Warehouse was the other place that I thought was super cool.
Also clothing, but they were playing techno-y music and new wave.
And it was like in a movie. Sarah Jessica Parker would have worked there in Square Pegs or something.
Do we share a love for Valley Girl, Nick Cage?
100%.
Baby doll.
The movie kind of holds up.
Uh-huh. What about that soundtrack? That to me
Unreal.
was like the gateway to all my new wave love.
Oh, there's some deep little Easter egg in there. Oh, Katie Seagal from Married with Children is in that movie, but only her name. They go to some rock and roll club like Bordner's or somewhere, and it's like next Thursday, Katie Seagal. She's like a music act.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I remember seeing that recently. My wife had never seen that movie or something, and we watched it, and I was like, go back. It was in passing, like quickly.
Obviously, she
had
was
like a rock and roll past.
Oh my God, that's so cool. She's the coolest. Have you met her in real life?
I've met her in passing when her husband, maybe they're still married, I'm not sure, Kurt Sutter.
Yep.
When Sons of Anarchy was winning a lot of awards or going to award shows, that was around the same time I was going to award shows. So I got to meet her, and she could not have been nicer.
Oh, she's about as cool as they come.
Totally tracks, because if she was doing that in the 80s, you're like, you're probably pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yes, but I guess growing up seeing her as Peg Bundy, it's such a archetype caricature cartoon.
Yeah.
To meet the real woman, and yeah, you get the sense she was like a new wave chick.
I never got Married with Children. I was always a bit of an eye roll for me because I was in the wrong era and age. And you kind of watch it back, you go, oh, they were kind of doing a thing that I just didn't get. They were taking a big swing, and they were winking just as much. And those people were all amazing. I just saw Christina, because she was at the Emmys. It was really cool and amazing. And you go, oh, wow, yeah, you've been working since you were a baby, a literal baby.
Since we were children, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, you're right. I think because the narrative of that show at the time was being positioned as Fox is being overly provocative to make a name for itself as a network. So then you heard that before you saw it, and it tainted the well a bit.
Yeah.
But yes, actually, it's a great satire.
The audience, whoa. You know, you're like... And then you go back and you go, it's kind of the same thing that All in the Family was doing with the toilet flushing. It was just a different time.
1,000%. And they're in on every joke.
Totally.
Okay, I want to just go back to, because this is one of the only times this has happened to me, and it remains one of the great curiosities of my life. So I met you by way of Kimmel in real life.
Okay.
And I introduced myself to you.
Where was this? A party? We need deets.
I want to say it was like at a football watching.
Yeah, I think it was at his house.
But it also could have been at one of these night before parties, because I also remember hanging out with you and Polar and Tina. But the point is when I introduced myself to you, you said, yeah, we've already met. We met at Kimmel's this other time. And I was like, that's truly not possible, because I'm an enormous fan and I know for sure I'd remember meeting you. And simply didn't believe it. But in your defense, you had such details that seemed highly plausible that was a conversation we would have had. That's always been this enormous mystery to me, because A, I kind of have a good memory, and B, I was just enamored with you.
I
at the
will say
time.
this about that. You're not the only person who has met me before Mad Men and did not know. It didn't compute that you met.
Even your story, though, was post Mad Men.
Okay, then that's on you.
It is on me, but I don't understand it. Have you had that experience yourself where you're like, well, there's no way I would have forgotten?
Oh, for sure.
You have,
I've definitely had that thing of, I've had full-on deep conversations with people and then come back and been like, oh my God, it's so nice to meet you. And they're like, we talked it out. Some of that can be chalked up to being drunk, but
Sure.
some of that isn't. A lot of it is more, and you must have a version of this, and maybe this is a representation of that, but when you're going through our existence at a certain level of fame, you meet so many people. It's overload, and you're kind of on autopilot, and you're not taking it in a truly present way. You're just kind of lip servicing it.
I've never thought of this until you were just describing it, but I think the closest analogy for me is like playing slots at a casino. You might go through like 40 different machines. You'll never remember one of them. It's just like ding, 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 ding. Oh, Jon Hamm, ding, 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 Tina Fey.
Or a politician that's just going down the line. Hey, there you are. Look at you. How about that? Hey, all right. Good job. And you meet these people and you go, man, what a weird life. And then you kind of look in retrospect and you go, we live a pretty weird life too.
Yeah. I'll chalk some of it up too as like deep insecurity.
For sure.
Fake it till you make it. This is all on my end. Act like it's normal for you. act not that blown away. Don't expose yourself as not belonging at this party. Like a lot of mine is, I know, rooted in just deep insecurity that I don't belong there.
I think, too, if you experience all of it, there's not enough hours in the day, really. You would never make it past the door of a party. You just go like, too much, gotta go, peace out. There's a certain part of it that's very self-protecting. You have to put some kind of armor up so you can make your way through the party.
Yeah.
I remember one of my first times I went to the Golden Globes. I was not famous. I was there on like a sponsorship exemption guest of a thing. And I just remember thinking like, everybody in here is super duper famous. How do they navigate it? I was literally an observer. Around that same time, I had gotten to go to the night before the Academy Awards party.
Yeah.
And again, auditioning for pilot season.
All you've got going for you is you're tall and handsome at this point.
Kind of it. And I somehow got a golden ticket to get into this party. And I knew that the gift bag would be awesome.
Yeah. You were getting a new HTC cell phone for sure.
For sure. And I remember somebody going, excuse me, to get through a crowd. And I went, oh, sure, excuse me. They came up behind me and it was Harrison Ford.
Oh my God.
Saying, excuse me. And as I stepped out of his way, I stepped on somebody's foot. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And it was Tom Hanks.
Oh, wow.
And I spun around and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I backed into somebody and it was Denzel Washington.
You were a pinball.
I was like,
in the
oh my
A-list.
God, I'm ruining Hollywood. Like, I'm so sorry.
Up and comer. Jon Hamm takes out 3 letters to get your name wrong.
Jon
in this
Hamm
story.
with an H. Oh. But yeah, part of that is just, it's bonkers. Like, our life is bonkers. And
Yeah.
I was just recently, or not so recently, last September, October, back home at my high school. And my high school has a crazy, weird pedigree. It's in a tiny high school in St. Louis, but I went there, I taught Ellie Kemper there.
You know that story?
No, but
When she was in 8th grade, he was teaching her
Ninth
acting.
grade. Her sister was in 8th grade. But yeah, she was 15 and she was awesome. I was like, wow, you're really good. You're super committed to this.
And your girlfriend, while you were there, also...
was an actor. Sarah Clark did 24 Forever and yada,
also,
yada, yada.
do you
Heather
know
Goldenhirsch went
Elizabeth
there.
Lame?
No.
By chance? I think she went to school with Ellie. So she must have been
Entirely
there.
possible. She might have gone to NYU or Princeton or wherever Ellie went, though. Could have been college.
This is John Burroughs.
Also, John Burroughs. Sam Altman, who created OpenAI, ChatGPT.
Oh my
went to my high
goodness.
school.
Wow.
This is all to say that we had a 100-year anniversary of this school. It was founded in 1923. This was last year. And I went there, and after the big celebration, which I co-hosted with Ellie, there were probably 2,000 people there, and I probably took a selfie with every single one of them, to the point where I went to my good friend's house, his mom and dad's. His brothers were there. We were making pizzas at night. It was hilarious. Drinking beers around the fireplace. They go, what was that? That was crazy. Just constant. Like, these people know you. Like,
Yeah.
these are half the people we went to high school with, and they're all just banana. I go, yeah, it's crazy. You get on that little screen and people go nuts for it.
When you were at the Golden Globes, did you feel like I belong here? I'll be here one day on my own right?
Absolutely not. I knew that it would be great if that would happen, but I certainly had no sense of anything that was inevitable. It was like, be cool one day to sit in that table, not to mention win 2 of them and all the other attendant weirdness. I was just there again this last go-round because I got nominated for Fargo, and it was like, whoa, fuck, I forgot about this. Like, this is so crazy. And I was sitting at a table with Todd Glass and Jim Gaffigan and Sudeikis and some of the Ted Lasso folks. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. I forgot.
Yeah, you rediscover it. It's so compartmentalized and it's such a heightened experience that it just kind of lives in some bizarre space in your brain. Okay, I have done so much assuming about you over the years without any real reason. But from the second I met you, I felt like, oh, I think...
The first time or the second time?
Well, according to you, the second time, according to me, the first time. There's been so many things I've just kind of maybe projected onto you. But as I was learning about you as a human, your story leading up to all this, some of them were falling into place nicely. Like, oh, I think my hunch was a little bit correct. The overarching thing, I think, that I've always felt from you in our minimal interactions is I think we have a similar attachment to masculinity based on where we grew up, and I think not having a dad around in those formative years. Now, I didn't know that there wasn't a dad around in the formative years.
There was one. Well, it depends on how you define formative.
I guess you're living with your mom just like I was. Like, my parents got divorced at 3 years, at 2. There's not a man in my house pat me on the back as I go to school or coming home from school and saying, oh, I tell him, oh, this guy pushed me.
Did your mom date guys while you were...
Horrendous. One was an ex-baseball player. The other was a 6'3" triathlete. They were all alpha. They were fucking abusive and terrible. And I hate men and I hate male energy. And I'm going to fight everyone and I won't be dominated. And, you know, so much fucking baggage. And then also trying to define myself as a male among boys and looking to them and just doing whatever they said worked. And I don't know why, but I think from the second I have met you, and it's unfair to have projected that much onto you, but I just feel like we shared this similar thing. And then really quick, just to fast forward, to find out that we both were here eating shit for so long, I also think cemented me in some weird way that I'm still recovering from.
I mean, it is weird. And part of it is, there was just a funny sketch from that Jacob Elordi kid on SNL. He did a sketch where he was coming back to talk to an acting class, and they're like, so what do you do about auditions? And what's it like? He's like, what's an audition? Like, well, I just landed in LA and Selena Gomez saw me and wanted me to put in her video. You keep saying these words, I just don't know what they mean, so I'm sorry.
Right.
And it's funny because, yeah, sure, there is a version of that. And I remember there's so many audition stories, obviously, but one in particular was for a show, I think it was called like Reign, R-E-I-G-N. And it was on Fox, I want to say, and it was a little bit like swords and swashbuckling. And I'm like, my God, this is so nuts. And I went way far down the line. Like, I might be the star of Reign. This is so cool.
Let's go.
And it turned out a very unknown, young, up-and-coming actor named Heath Ledger got it.
Oh, my God.
And he was right off the boat from Australia. He was super young and handsome, but he got it. Whatever, good for him. And that was one of those crazy things. But so many times passing through other people's orbits, like you said, you kind of go, oh yeah, he probably should have gotten that part. It turns out he was pretty fucking good at
Yeah,
what
it turns out he was kind of a once in a generation.
Yeah. And we all know the end of that story, which is sad and awful in its own way, but it was crazy. And going through all of that, and I got so close. The people that I lost out to, Jon Favreau got a job.
Which one?
Not Armageddon, the other one, Deep Impact.
Deep Impact.
And I still to this day look at him and go, you know, you beat me out for an acting role. And he's like, yeah, I know it. And even with Mad Men, it took forever for them to give me the part. Nobody wanted it except for one guy and me.
Learning that today, I was wondering, do you think you benefited from the fact that you really didn't believe you had a shot? You're like, this is definitely going to go to a known name. And do you think that ended up being helpful?
I can't say that it was a better experience or worse, other than I made it here somehow. So did you. Eventually, we got picked.
Yeah.
And thank God, because I knew it for a fact that I did not want to be a 40-year-old. At that point, I didn't want to be a 30-year-old. That was my cutoff. I was like, 5 years is enough time to figure out the marketplace. I don't want to be in my 30s waiting tables, bartending, which I was doing up until I was 29, basically.
I got here in 95. I was here for 9 years and didn't get my first role until I was 28, turning 29, like right before my 29th birthday. And similarly, I went to a good college. I did great at that college. People I knew were buying speedboats and cabins and shit. And I was like, when do we throw in the towel? Like, when do we stop being delusional?
When has the market spoken?
Yes. When are you going to accept reality as it is presenting itself to you? And I found that incredibly demoralizing and hard. It's an eternity because, again, think of the fraction of your life. Sure, 5 years might not sound like a lot now, but at 25, that's a fifth of your life that you've experienced being an abject failure. I dealt with that by being hammered all the time and trying to get approval from ladies as much as humanly possible.
Those are two tried and true, and they work so well.
They work for a while. They really work for a while.
Well, part of it, I think, too, was, and I tell this to any of the kids that come out, because I'm the sort of de facto, especially from my high school, but also from college. Anybody that comes out here, I generally get an email or something, hey, can you talk to this kid or sit down with this guy or girl or whatever and tell them the ropes. And I'm always like, there's no ropes. You know, it's just like, come out and good luck.
I tell people to buy a dependable car. Literally.
Get a car that works and get a job. Those two things. And this is all to say that for me, bartending and working in restaurants, you're surrounded by fellow travelers. Everybody's kind of got an audition or a music gig or an improv show or something. And so you're at least surrounded by people that are trying to do it and who get it a little bit. Then there's always the older guy, you know, it's like Party Down. Look at Party Down and you go, there, but for the grace of God. Every restaurant has the kind of Ken Marino guy in that show who's been at it for too long, dyeing the hair and anything to still hold on to that youth that is gone.
Did it nurture in you any, like, I can give you an example of this terrible quality I developed, which is I was so jealous of everybody that was making it that I became like an uber critic of everyone. I was the worst guy. If you were hammered with me, you started talking about like these people that ultimately I idolized.
For sure.
Vince Vaughn, this guy, you know this about shit I don't even know. Spreading rumors about this guy because I'm
Obviously,
so
all
jealous.
that comes from being jealous and fear of your own thing. That's why the booze is a part of it. You don't know what you want until you see someone else get it, and then you go, I want that. And then if you happen to get it, you're like, I didn't really want this at all. I wanted my version of this, and it's not directly defined by anybody other than me. So yes, of course, my entree into this world was Paul Rudd, and I knew him from back in the Midwest. He went to KU, and my girlfriend's older brother was his classmate at KU in 1988. Right when I got out here, 94, 95, around then, he was just going off to do Romeo and Juliet or something. He had already Clueless, and he had already done the whole thing. We're like, whoa, this guy's made it, man.
Yes.
I wasn't jealous of him because he was a friend, and it was like, yeah, we're rooting for him. But it was kind of like, what's the secret sauce?
Also a bad comp.
Yes.
Because let's also acknowledge Paul Rudd is a unicorn.
He is an eternally youthful human that hasn't aged in 40 years.
Yep.
And I came out here and looked like I was 35 when I was 23.
Right.
So when I came out here and it was like, Dawson's Creek, they're like, you could play the dad. I'm like, I'm 26 years old. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And I'm auditioning next to Harry Hamlin. I'm like, what?
Right.
How is this working?
Yeah, it was really cool when you could buy beer at 18, but it got real uncool
real
probably as soon as
uncool.
you got to Hollywood.
But then your look catches up to your age and somehow it works.
Well, you kind of grow into yourself in
That
a way
was really
too.
what
Like
it
I think
was.
I was a late bloomer more than I wanted to admit.
For sure. When you talk about growing up and you're trying to define yourself against other people and you're not really focusing on defining yourself in regards to yourself.
Yeah, I want to be Nick Cage in Valley Girl.
For sure. I want to be Harrison Ford. I want to be Han Solo. I want to be Don Johnson in Miami Vice. Those are the ones that I wanted to do.
Oh, DJing, that's a good pick.
Come on, man. I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
Damn right you can.
You neglect defining yourself in your own terms, and it takes a minute. And part of it is getting the shit kicked out of you. Going in and going, man, why didn't I get that part? Yeah, I can sit at the bar and say, this guy did that or this guy did that, but what really was it?
I know. It's hard.
Did you do everything you could? Or were you as prepared as you could be? Were you funny in a way that was relatable? Or were you just kind of blowing it off because you didn't really think you were going to do it?
Or were you doing
and
what
you'd
you thought
self-sabotage
they
it?
wanted?
Exactly.
Or what this actor who you think you best resemble.
kinda doing an
you can
impression
kinda-
of.
Yes. 1,000%.
And it takes a minute to go like, I owe myself the freedom to go. I'm going to do this. If they don't like it, cool.
Okay, back to St. Louis though. Did your mom have shitty boyfriends?
I don't think so. So my parents got divorced when I was 2. My mom died when I was 10. So I had a pretty limited kid version of what my mom's life was. She would go out. Maybe it was a date. Maybe it was a work thing. I don't know. Like I was 7 or 8. I'm sure I was getting a very filtered version of what was going on. But I remember a couple guys coming around. They were kind of the 70s.
Camaro
a lot
type
of
dudes.
facial hair. Not Camaro types, but a little more of the like, hey, buddy, all right. I'm Elliot Gould somehow.
Okay,
they're like,
I got you.
okay.
Some corduroy.
Yeah, a lot of elbow patches.
Sure,
Because my
sure.
mom was a secretary. That's how she met my dad.
At the family trucking company?
No, my mom was a secretary at a radio station, KWK, and her boss was my dad's friend and ended up being my dad's best man at their wedding.
Okay.
So it was my dad's second wedding. His first wife died suddenly as
Oh my
well. She
God.
had a brain aneurysm and dropped dead, leaving 2 kids behind, my 2 half-sisters. My dad dealt with a lot of heavy shit.
I imagine he's pretty young to have been
Back then,
a widow and then a
so he was
divorcee.
born in 33, so he would have got married in his late 30s to my mom, and she was in her mid-20s.
Okay.
Having this very brief window of that life, and then moving in with my dad after my mom died, and my dad at that point was living with my grandmother, so we had 3 generations under one roof, which was challenging.
Really quick. I can't imagine anything as destabilizing as losing your mom.
Right. Especially when they're divorced. So that was, you were
it's not
losing
there's
everything.
Exactly. It's like a total erasing of your known existence. In addition to that, you then moved to another town to join grandma and dad, right?
It was still St. Louis. It was just another part of town.
But I'm talking a new school, right?
For sure.
New school at 10, that could be its own
Well,
traumatic.
and not for nothing, I was moving from, people from St. Louis would know this, but there's a version of this in every town. So I was moving from the very white suburban part of town that my mom was living in to the very black urban part that my father's mother's house was in, because it used to be in a very fancy neighborhood.
Had white flight.
White flight in the 60s.
Kind of a Detroit-y
For
scenario.
sure. In fact, looks so much. When I finally shot a movie in Detroit in 2020, I was like, oh my God, this could be my neighborhood.
Same. When I went to St. Louis, I was like, did I just drive 8 hours and I'm somehow still in Detroit?
And super duper similar in their aspect of the kind of working class and the segregation and the crazy racism. So I went to basically an all-black school.
How did that work?
5th and 6th grade. It was a gear shift for sure. I remember going to my first dance, my 5th grade dance, and the music was all R&B and George Clinton. I mean, I didn't not like it. I just didn't know it. So everybody was speaking a different language. Especially in retrospect, it was a tremendous lesson of there are different perspectives in the world. I tell this story often, but I was walking home to my neighborhood with a friend of mine, little black kid. We were 10, 11. And the cop stopped us. Where are you guys going? I said, I'm going home. He goes, what's going on? I go, I'm walking home from school.
Right.
And he goes, all right, well, you guys get going.
You know, make sure that you hadn't been taken hostage.
And my friend goes, you talk to the police like that?
Yeah.
And I go, like what? What do you mean? And again, two completely different perspectives on how life works. And at the time, I was like, that's weird. Why wouldn't you talk to anybody like that? The guy was
just
kind of being
answered him.
aggressive and shitty.
Can I tell you, that was kind of my breakthrough in accepting this notion of white privilege. Is like, well, I grew up with a single mother and we were on welfare and there was violence and addiction. So how privileged am I? But then I think about 10 years as a raging addict. I interacted with cops all the time. They never searched me. I wasn't polite at times. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'd be in prison. With the addiction I had, I'd be in prison. That was the
for
breakthrough.
sure.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Getting pulled over when you're half in the bag and the cop going, all right, Matt wrote it into Mad Men. My 11th birthday, my first one without my mom, my dad took me out. My dad struggled with booze a lot. Didn't really drink for the time I knew him, but anybody that knew him in the old days was like, oh yeah. He was also 6'2", about 300 pounds. So it took a lot. By the time I lived with him, he was diabetic. He had kind of quit booze, but this one night he took me out and got wasted. You don't have any where to put that as a kid. You just think, oh, they're being funny.
Yeah.
So he drove home. He gets the car, which was a 1976 Lincoln Town car, massive 25-foot
Yeah.
gunmetal
7,000
gray.
pound car.
Yeah, 7 miles to the gallon. Driving this thing with one finger, with a cocktail in his hand, with the window down, smoking a cigarette.
Goddamn, let's
I'm
go.
like, are you kidding me? And I didn't think anything weird about it until before he was going to turn into our neighborhood, he finished the drink and threw the glass out the window.
Sure. Because littering back then wasn't even a thing.
You're contributing to the community. I literally had no concept of it. We got home fine, but then I look back on it and go like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Wow. And then we wrote it into Mad Men.
How were you doing in that environment as far as like, what kind of kid were you prior to going to John Burroughs? Because that's got to be a much different experience than where you landed.
I look back at my life as essentially being an only child, and I remember in a pre-internet era, almost pre-video game era. I mean, I had an Atari, but not till later in life. The way to entertain yourself was reading. So I had comic books, I had National Geographics, I had so much written word, and I would just read stories. My grandmother's house had 1 million books in it and 1 million National Geographics.
Same with my grandparents. The grandparents in the 70s loved National Geographic.
And Reader's Digest.
In 60 Minutes.
Yeah, it was bananas. You could grab a Reader's Digest and like, oh, I'll find some fun story in this. That's what I did. It was fun. I played a ton of sports. It was kind of free-range kid back
You did
then.
football, baseball, and swimming in high school?
Yeah, in high school. But before that, so I would come home, latchkey kid. My mom was around. I would go open the thing. My babysitter was an 8th grade boy.
Oh, jeez. This is not a great...
13, 14-year-old kid who smoked weed and was like, you're good, right? Bye.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. And it was just, maybe you had this, but like the roving group of kids. So whatever season it was the sport you played.
Right.
So if it was fall, it was like football. If it was springtime, it was baseball.
Did your legs freeze over? Did you play hockey at all?
No, I never played hockey. I'm a huge fan, but it was too expensive.
Yeah, rich kids played because you needed ice time.
You needed all the stuff, all
Yeah.
the gear, which I never had. We played frozen driveway hockey.
I lived on a lake, so I got to play on a lake for
better.
free. But yeah, all the gear, the CCMs and the Bowers, all this shit.
And you look at that stuff and you go, that was crazy expensive.
Yes, yes.
And my best friend was the oldest of 4. Well, 2 of my best friends were all brothers. There was gear everywhere, so you could kind of find something that sort of fit. You could work it out, but I just never learned how to skate. That's a big part of it. We all know how to run. We all know how to throw and catch, kind of. Skating is a whole different thing. The barrier to entry is pretty high. So anyways, we just played. That was it. And came back when the lights went on. My mom would get home from work at 5:30 and then come home, we have dinner and watch TV and go to sleep and rinse, repeat. So when I moved in with my dad, the school situation was different. I had no friends.
Were you feeling lonely and lost?
Yes and yes.
Did you develop any OCD stuff at that time?
No, but I was in the gifted program, so I had a lot of intellectual things feeding me. And part of it was really just navigating losing my mom.
Were you sharing any of that with your dad or
sir,
friends?
that was
See, this
nuts.
is the thing I'm talking about, being locked into the masculinity. Like, there was all this chaos happening in my house, but it felt so weak to bring that up.
There was just no avenue down which you could drive that was considered a thing. Therapy, what the hell was that? I literally was given a book the day my mom died that said what to do when a parent dies.
Great. 180 pages from now, you're going to be all fixed.
Sure, it was written with the best of intentions, but there was no connective follow. Like nowadays, you'd be in therapy. This is how it works, and it doesn't mean your mom didn't love you. The abandonment is not a thing. You can talk it out and unravel that knot that happens. I'm still working on that.
I'm sure. Well, think about this. How many kids think they're responsible for their parents' divorce? I have to imagine in some bizarre 10-year-old mind, there's moments you think somehow you have played a role in this.
I must have done something wrong. It's a funny thing. The lessons are myriad, but the real good lesson is that the world doesn't really care about you. It's not your fault. You know, I remember seeing Good Will Hunting, and when Matt Damon breaks down and Robin
Favorite
Williams
movie
is
of all
saying,
time.
You've seen
it's
it
not your
100
fault. It's
times.
not your
Love it so
fault. It's not
much.
your fault. It's not your fault. It's not. You didn't do anything. You're a little kid. It happened to you. So there's a big lesson in learning that and accepting that.
By the way, when you saw that movie, did you find that scene was hitting you in a kind of
I was a
unexpected? You were
mess.
foxy. Yeah, I bet.
A mess
Yeah.
in the movie theater at the Beverly Center. I was literally like heaving, sobbing. And the girl I was with was like, "Are you okay?" It's like, clearly not. We're going to have to call this one early because I'm going to have to go home and think about stuff.
I got to journal a little bit tonight, I think.
How did she die?
It's really funny. I just read a thing on the internet of a woman who was diagnosed with, she had colon cancer, is the short answer. And read this story of this 35, my mom was 35 when she died. So she had it probably when she was in her early 30s. It was not discovered until it was way too late because you don't get a colonoscopy until you're 40 or 50. I got mine at 40 because I have history.
That's the first time, because one of my follow-up questions is my uncle and cousin both same thing. So I started getting colonoscopies at like 17.
Oh, wow.
So I was curious, have you been getting them like me?
Well, I'm glad I got mine at 40 because there was stuff
Polyps,
in there that
yeah.
they then removed. And it was like, okay, good. And I get them every 2 years or 3 years. I don't know. The pandemic kind of flipped the script a little bit. But I'm due for one this year. I know that.
We should go together.
You know who goes together?
Who? Oh.
Lauren, Steve, and Marty Short. They all go and get their
No.
colonoscopies together.
Oh, that's great.
It's hilarious.
Well, we should form one. Maybe like me, you, and Kimmel.
I'm down. The day before is the worst.
The procedure's
The during
lovely.
is amazing.
Yeah,
the best
Versed and
90
then-
minutes of sleep you'll ever have.
Versed followed by propofol. Let's
Propofol
go.
me, baby. And then you wake up and you fart for 3 hours. And you're like, this is so fun.
Can I tell you, my mother joined me at one of my ones here in LA because I needed someone to drive me. Yeah, same thing. I wake up and the nurse rolls me on my side. She goes, "You're going to feel the need to fart." And I go, "No, I don't have to fart." And as I'm saying I don't need to fart, a good 40-second, longest of my life fart. My mother is just one sheet away, sitting on a bed waiting for me. I hear her start laughing uncontrollably, and then my farts start react because now I'm laughing. And my mother urinated on the fucking bed. She was, what a mess the Shepards
Jesus.
were coming in there. We fucked up the whole.
You hit the trifecta.
Yeah.
But sorry, you read the story.
Yeah, right back to the story.
Oh, the story. There was a story about a woman who, same thing, had aggressive colon cancer and it metastasized and she got exactly the thing that my mom got a big chunk of her colon removed. She had a colostomy, the whole thing. And by the time they caught it, though, it had gone to her liver and her stomach and everything. And the doctors were like, that's it.
Did she warn you?
No, I was a kid. I literally started seeing all of the adults in my life break down.
That's
My
scary.
grandfather, who is like a Navy man, veteran, greatest guy in the world, weeping. And I was like, well, this can't be good.
Yeah.
It's probably bad. And then at a certain point, they were like, you need to go in and say goodbye to your mom. And they pushed me into the room, and she looked like a skeleton and was clearly dying. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah, what are you supposed to
She
say?
goes, come up on the bed, and she hugged me. I mean, she probably weighed under 100 pounds
Yeah.
and lost all her hair and everything, chemo and everything. I was just like, I
So
don't.
scary for a
Terrifying.
kid.
Yeah.
It's like go
I
say
imagine my
goodbye to your
children.
mom. Like, well, okay, bye. I'll see you
Yeah.
tomorrow. Oh, no, you won't. Oh, that goodbye.
They think you'll be sad, but really you're just scared.
Scared, terrified. Again, this is the 70s, man, or 80s. No one had the vocabulary to even talk about it. The idea of talking about it was like, what's that going to do?
Yeah, the idea of even helping a child through it, they don't even know how to help themselves through it yet. There's no tools
No
in existence.
concept. In retrospect, of course, you think, oh man, I should have done this or that or really taken it in, but you don't. You're just a scared little kid and you go, okay, bye.
Yeah.
And then
What does
cry
bye
or don't
mean?
know,
What is-
don't cry. Did I not cry enough? I don't know.
Yeah.
All of it's difficult. All of it's challenging, especially when you don't have the vocabulary to even manage getting through it, much less understanding that if you don't deal with this stuff, it's going to really pay
Well,
dividends down the line.
I was going to ask, did you have a period of time where you had convinced yourself you were over all that and it wasn't affecting you?
What I did really well is bury that motherfucker.
Yeah.
And keep it moving.
Yeah.
And that's what it was pretty much for me for like the late 80s into the 90s. In high school, I was distracted with sports and girls and school, and all I wanted to do was achieve, and that was fine. That was a really good distraction. And as soon as I got in college, when I didn't have the framework or the schedule, it was like, look out.
Yeah.
Here's where the misbehaving
Well,
is
the
gonna
fucking
do.
5 years of floundering and losing faith in everything.
So that was, I knew I was like, this is going to be rough, but then keeping it moving, get the next thing.
It's almost the athlete thing. It's like if
Kind
you've
of.
played football and you have this play through the pain, ignore that, let's go, deal with that later.
Yeah.
You're also pursuing things that reinforce that approach.
And there's no goal line for acting, right? It's like, I just need to get an audition. Okay, then the goalposts move. Well, I just need to get this. I just need to get that. I just need to get
I'm on a
that.
series. Now I need a movie. Now I'm on a movie. Now I need to direct it.
Anything. So finally, when you kind of sit down and you rest, which I did probably third year of Mad Men, you go, oh man, where am I? I've been running for so long. Where am I? Then you understand it's a deeper thing. And that's when you start talking to people that have the vocabulary to manage that.
Do you have the same gratitude I have where it's like, I'm so glad I was given the cash and prizes so that I could find out it was like an internal job that had nothing to do with the cash? Because if I had not ever been given them, I would have died believing those were still going to fix it.
Of course. Then you go, oh, that's all dumb. That's all super
But
dumb.
I'm so mad, too. Like, wait a minute. The cab driver knew who I was. Why hasn't that fixed anything?
Right.
This was my dream.
It's impossible to say it if you've never been through it.
I know you can't bestow it onto friends.
No one can understand it without going through it. That's the gratitude part, right? You go,
Yeah.
thank God. I checked that box and I had that experience. Therefore, I know that it's ultimately meaningless. And just another thing. Do you have the thing? I mean, you have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's hard not to collect shiny things.
But I go through and I give it all away.
I do a lot of that. To know me is to have gotten many free shoes and pants and everything.
Do you have friends that are your same shoe size? Because I don't.
Well, I have friends who have made themselves
Fair
my
enough.
same shoe
Yeah.
size.
That'll work.
I have friends that used to be a 10 that are now a 12. I had the kind of sad thought on your behalf because your father then dies when you're 20. You're an orphan at 20. And I wonder, and again, this will potentially be something I will try to tell you that you too won't be able to internalize, as we just talked about. But have you felt that there was a certain emptiness to your successes because you
Interesting say that.
can't,
You can't share it.
right? The people that you most want to say, hey, look at me, I did it, are not there to do that for. And I could feel like maybe your success would feel incomplete.
There's certainly a version of that, yes, where you go, man, wouldn't it be nice if I wish I could show them, look what I did. I had a similar experience when I got married. I got married this summer, first time I've ever been married, and it was
Congratulations.
like the whole thing. Thank you. Tremendous day, beautiful ceremony.
Took place at the last scene of Mad Men.
Where I met my wife. I did not know she would be my wife then. I just remember being literally arrested by her presence and going, whoa. And then life happened over the course of 9 years, and then we got married. So my sisters were there, my aunts were there, but my mom and dad weren't. I had this sort of vicarious thrill that my sisters and my aunts were kind of like really quelling and feeling this whole thing, and I really felt it, that they weren't there, but they were there in the space. So yes, again, it would have been nice, but obviously that's what happens with life. You know, you don't get to pick.
Yeah. Could you feel the emptiness, though? Could you feel like as things were getting so incredibly good for you and you're winning Emmys and you're getting nominated and you're on the very best show that's maybe ever been on TV other than Sopranos, are you feeling like, where is that accompanying sensation? Did you have a hard time internalizing it, or were you able to?
I think it was hard. I know it was hard. Part of it is that there's no playbook. That is a crazy ride. And you're going, oh my God, I'm hosting SNL and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And these are all kick-ass things.
But they're coming very
they come
fast,
so
too.
fast. Like you get the show's a hit, then the fire hose goes on.
Someone turns the huge switch on
and
the
you
wall.
Can't drink from it. You're fighting it off in a lot of ways. So it takes a level of emotional maturity that I did not have. I think I might have now because I'm much more aware of the ephemeralness of it.
Not that you need my validation, but the being in front of me right now feels very different than the being I met 10, 12 years ago.
I would hope so.
The constriction maybe that I felt seems to be dissipated.
For sure.
Do you feel that in your body?
100%. Unraveled in the best possible way and comfortable.
Loose.
I had this experience even in front of the camera when I'm doing my job. I'm like, good.
Well, okay.
I'm like, I'm fine. Whatever this is going to be good. And if we don't get it, we'll get it on take 2. And if we don't get it on take 2, we'll get it on take 3. Whatever the fuck.
Right.
I was talking with Billy Crudup about that on Morning Show. And I was like, have you hit that wall yet? Because it's a good wall. When you go, oh, right, I'm good at this.
Yes, I belong here. I don't have to fucking stranglehold this anymore.
No, I don't have to death grip this thing.
Yeah. It's so present in Roy Tillman. I have to say, I've seen you in a lot of things. I've loved you in a lot of things. This, to me, I was like, oh, goddamn, Jon. I didn't know you could be this sensational. It's very evident in Fargo. I was gobsmacked with how good you are.
It's a very different version that I think people haven't seen me do that.
I haven't. You're a great motherfucker.
Part of what I got to do every day was really make sure that I remembered that this guy loves being this guy. You know what I mean?
That's a good
like
mantra.
Such a fan of himself.
Yeah, in a sea of alphas,
Whereas
he's on top.
Don Draper loved being Don Draper, but at the core of him, he was Dick Whitman. And so there was a real bifurcated life. Imposter stuff. Roy is Roy, man, and he loves it.
Yeah, you're so right. When he gets to do a speech, it's like you can tell he's nearly jacking off while he's hearing himself talk.
if not actually
yes,
ejaculating. And part of it was working with that tremendous cast. And part of it was really what Noah Hawley has done with all 5 seasons of that show. And each one of them are tremendous and each one of them are radically different, is really lean into the cinematicness that the Coen brothers were always able to find, not just in Fargo, in all their movies. And there's little Easter eggs all over that show that are not just from Fargo, but hints into the Coen
canon.
Yeah. And so it's fun to be able to play with that too.
If Noah called me to be in that world, I would feel fucking lucky. I'd be like, I cannot believe I get to enter something I have loved for so long.
I got to meet
Probably how you
Noah.
feel coming on this show.
It's tremendous. It's the same thing.
You finally
exactly the same thing. I got to meet Noah. We were at the CAA holiday party or one of the things, and it's a dog show. I mean, it's just 1 million people there. It's way too crowded. They always put it in a small place, so it makes it feel more crowded, and you can't hear. It's too loud. And I was sitting at the bar waiting to get a drink or something, and I turned to my right, and it's Noah Hawley. He just won the Golden Globe for Fargo. Maybe it's the Emmy. And I go, hey, man, I've been wanting to meet you. I'm a big fan of your work. And he goes, I'm a big fan of your work. And I go, hey, cool. Maybe we'll work together someday. He goes, maybe we will. Well, let's go outside and we'll have a drink. I go, great. So we talked for like 20 minutes at this party. And then I thought, okay, cool. I got to meet that guy. He seems like a really cool guy.
Were you like us, thunderstruck by his intelligence?
Pretty much. He's smart and he's creative and he's funny and interesting. And I thought that the first season outperformed even my expectations of it. I'm like, there's no way this is going to be good.
And it was
better than good.
Yeah.
And then the second season is a completely different show and equally interesting and cool. And so when we got down to the 4th season with Rock and how they completely reinvented it, and then our season, I'm like, oh my God, he's using split screens and crossfades and all of these like old Hollywood techniques that are so perfectly weird for this show.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. And I was like, what a brave choice to lean into that and really think, okay, this is kind of an old-timey thing, but it's going to work. And that's kind of what the Coens do too. It's irises and all these weird old Hollywood techniques. And you go, oh yeah, it's just storytelling. And the images that we get to play with when you shoot up in Calgary, these massive wide shots and these tight close-ups of walking over crunchy snow and all the stuff that's just so fun.
I recommend this all the time, but if you can get your hands on the DVD of Miller's Crossing, Barry Sonnenfeld is on there as an extra explaining photographing a movie. You do not need to go to school. He gives you a master class in
Barry's
cinematography.
An incredible guy. I've known him for a long time.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, he's a really cool guy, an amazing director of photography, but also a very good director. And he's taken all the things. He would say this, I'm not talking out of school. He started in porn.
Oh, wonderful.
Wow.
As a young
He mastered the
cameraman.
close-up, I'm sure.
He's got some stories, and you go, okay, well, there's only so much you can do when you're telling that story.
You guys must have bonded over that because you were a set decorator in softcore
Exactly.
porn.
Wow.
I remember.
We need to touch on that
We
for a
need to touch
second.
and caress that.
That was really when I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore.
Yeah. Were you
that's
29?
kind of we would call that a bottom.
7 or 20. Yeah. And I remember getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning and walking down to the corner. And my friend, it was in Silver Lake, he was like an electrician on those. And he goes, I'll drive you because I didn't have a car. I didn't have a car. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
I'm set dressing. To this day, could barely kind of tell you what my job was meant to be.
More silk flowing off of
Yeah,
walls.
yeah.
You know, I
We
was
had
literally
more
like, if they're looking at where the ashtray is, I'm pretty sure you guys are doing something wrong.
Something's up.
It's not on me. It's fine.
You taught before you came out here
Yes.
then. So that would be extra hard if you left a job that I assume was fulfilling and then you're doing that.
Well, here's what I knew, because they asked if I wanted to come back to teach again. And I was 24 years old. And I was like, I do, because I did really enjoy it. But I knew that I could see how this was going to go. And I was like, I'm going to come back for one more year. And then I'm going to do that for one more year, 30 times in a row.
Yeah.
And I'm going to retire in St. Louis. And I'm going to have a perfectly nice life. And I'm going to have the two saddest words in the English language. What if? So I said, I would love to come back, but I think I just want to try. And that was part of also why I said, if this isn't happening by 30, then I do have a backup plan.
Yeah.
And that was nice.
I could maybe go back and still do that.
Yeah.
Well, back to the Noah Hawley thing. You start a pattern that I admire about you, which is you're coming off Mad Men. Clearly, I didn't know that you had met Noah at this CA party, but you do a small thing on Legion. You've done this a lot. I imagine the stress post Mad Men had to be intense.
Not really.
It wasn't. You weren't afraid.
Part of it was I said, okay, I did that. And that was great. And if I don't do anything else,
You
I
had
got
that attitude. That's healthy.
I really did.
I just want to point out a lot of people, as the lead of an incredibly successful show, would probably be unwilling to go do a 3-episode arc on 30 Rock or a 3-episode arc on Legion.
The way I looked at it was that it was all work. And I love my job. And I get to work with this crazy talented group of people. And then I'll do an uncredited part in Bridesmaids. Like, of course, I want to work with Kristen Wiig and Maya and Paul Feig.
But to me, what it said is you were humble enough to enter into these worlds that you were interested in a way that was realistic. What was clear to me is you really liked comedy.
Yeah.
And you had just done Mad Men. And it was like, you want to play now. But you were humble enough and realistic to go, yeah, and the way I'm going to be able to do that initially is to go do this arc here and prove I've got chops and go here. And I think a lot of people would have lacked that humility.
I definitely didn't want to be like, now I want to do a Will Ferrell movie and I want to be Will Ferrell.
Two-hander with Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
But a lot of dudes would have done that.
A hard pass. That's why I wanted to be in Step Brothers. I was like, this is the perfect
Wait, that was
role.
post Mad Men?
It was during Mad Men,
During Mad Men.
I think. But even so, you go, what's going to be fun? What am I going to take away and what am I going to enjoy about this process? And that was doing the thing on Legion, which was a voiceover role, because I had been doing voiceovers for some time. And Noah was like, would you consider doing this? I'm like, absolutely. I love the show. It's wildly ambitious and creative. So I would love to be connected to it in some way.
You do Lucy in the Sky, is that next with him?
Which was a script that he wasn't attached to, and I'd read, and I was like, this is pretty good. It was meant to be Reese Witherspoon, and she fell out for various reasons, and then Noah came on and was like, I'm doing a page 1 rewrite, and you're like, okay. And it was the only time before or since that a page 1 rewrite made the movie a million times better. I was like, wow, this is now very cool, because he's smart and he brought a philosophical element into it. It wasn't just this sort of salacious story. I'm very proud of it, and I got to work with Natalie, who's amazing, and everybody on that, and Ellen Burstyn again. So you go, all right, I'm in. Jump in with both feet and let's see what happens. And that was an exciting thing. I go, man, look what he did. He's got all these crazy camera moves and beautiful techniques to telling the story. And I got to be an astronaut. I was like, this is pretty fun.
So do you feel like you would have been able to be as good as you were in Fargo? I guess, did it help enormously that you and Noah already had a comfort level? There was none of that kind of first day feeling each other out stuff. Like, you entered it with a pre-existing relationship.
That was helpful. There's always that first day of school thing where you're just like, I'm doing everything wrong. Part of it was feeling comfortable, going like, oh, I'm free to fail. And you can tell me, do less of that, do more of this.
Because if I was taking that big of a swing, it'd be very helpful to me that the director who brought me in, I already knew they thought I was good.
Right.
That insecurity wouldn't swell up of like, fuck.
I'm going to get fired. Somebody's going to see dailies and go, this isn't working. We need to cast somebody else.
Have you been fired?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, me too. From a table read. What did you get fired
Ooh,
from?
table read firing. That's I've never had that, but boy, that's always been in the back of my mind.
Yeah, I didn't even
You're
think
like,
that was an option.
Oh, it so is, and people don't get that, especially with 3-camera stuff when you have to.
That's
like,
when I got
nail
fired
a
from.
Joke.
I did Will and Grace. They like virtually begged me to come on, and I couldn't do it schedule-wise. And finally, I'm like, yes, I love Sean Hayes. I'm coming to do it. I did table read, and then I got a call like 2 days later from my agent.
Yeah,
and they were telling me all these really positive things, and all of a sudden it occurred to me, why are they calling me to be so positive? I'm like, I didn't get fired from that table read, did I? Yes, you did, but the good news is they're still going to pay you.
That's not good news. I don't need the money. I want to be liked.
My wife's rich. I don't need to do this.
I got fired from a pilot that they shot, and then they fired the female lead, who I was the love interest of. And they were like, but we're not firing you. We want to keep you. I'm like, how? If you fire her, then I have no reason for being in this. Yeah, but we're going to blah, blah, blah. They held me to the very last day of my eligibility. I had to turn down another pilot, all this other stuff. I missed 3 days of Adam Scott's wedding, all of this stuff. And they said, yeah, they're firing you. I was like, I had a feeling. And it went to series.
I told what show it was. What did you get fired from?
Well, it ended up being called
Breaking
Related.
Bad. Related. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's
think it was
comforting.
called Sisters when I did it. It was about 3 sisters, and they fired Laura San Giacomo, who was the oldest.
Oh, boy. It's a brutal.
It was so brutal because they forced called her every day of that pilot. Shot 10 days. She got murdered on that pilot. And the thank you was also, you're fired.
Oh, man. This is a fucking beatdown
Rough.
sometimes. Fucking Top Gun, dude. I can't believe you're in Top Gun. I have not been so horny for a movie in a decade.
Well, I remember
I saw
when-
it 3 times at IMAX.
I've told this story before, but I just remember them saying like, so there's an ask. They want you to do the new Top Gun. I was like, so you said yes, right? They're like, well, I go, no. What part of yes is not translate? Like, well, the money's not. I go, it doesn't matter. Take whatever offer is offered and say thank you, and I'll be there tan and ready to go. And they're like, but it's not. I go, try to follow me here. Like, if you fuck this up, you're fired. I don't know what else to say. All you have to know is that I saw that movie 100 times when I was 15 in the movies. I was in 8th grade. I couldn't drive yet, but man, as soon as that, that Jerry Bruckheimer, Don Simpson thing came on the screen, and that chord that they play,
Oh, yes.
cut to the aircraft carrier. I'm like, I'm in.
Everyone's go, smoke.
I'm in. I don't
my
need
God.
anything else.
And the fact that this one was way better. By the way, I wouldn't have thought
It's
that.
so much better.
It's
You
so
watch
much better.
You watch the original, and it's like
I
there's
know,
a
'cause
lot of stuff in there that you're
my
like,
9-year-old fell in love with
how
it,
did that
and then
work?
we went and watched the original. I was like, oh my God. In my mind, it holds such a spot, but in objective reality, the new one is so much better.
And also, it took 3 years to do because we had to hold it for the pandemic and all this other stuff, and there was a lot of reshoots.
Boy, he
and
talk about
everything.
a dude who stayed committed to his principles.
TC is talk about a unicorn. There's not many, if any, like him. I
Yes.
just watched the new Mission Impossible, and I was like, are you kidding me?
The fucking jump.
Jump off the thing. Like, you're a motorcycle guy.
Yes, I am.
So, the scary part isn't the jump. It's the part about 30 seconds before the jump when you're like, I better hit this thing
Perfectly.
in the right spot at the right everything, or I'm dead.
And let's go beyond that. That trailer played before a movie, and my daughter said, would you do that jump? And I said, I would do that jump, but the difference between Tom Cruise and I is I would do it once. What makes Tom Cruise is that he did that jump 10 fucking times. He watched playback and he's like, I could have held onto the motorcycle a little longer. I'm going again. That's where he's another
Okay, let me get the motorcycle from the bottom of the crevasse.
Yes, they must
How
have had a
many
semi.
bikes do we have?
Semi full of fucking dirt bikes. Because the jump was so well publicized. I knew that was coming. But better than the jump, if you ride, he's doing tons of riding, talking on a phone, and doing real jumps. That shit's actually more impressive.
I've met Tom, as I'm sure you have over the course of this life, and you look at him and you're like, man, you are just a movie star.
Yeah.
That's your job. Maybe the best there's ever been.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who are movie stars, but it's not their job.
Right.
This guy's job is eating, sleeping, and dreaming movie stuff.
I heard someone tell a story where they were interviewing him and they asked him, oh, that shot out of the airplane where you're hanging out of the airplane. Like, how did you think of that? And he goes, I wanted to make that shot for 10 years. I came up with that idea. And then when it came time, I had the safety crew there. They said, you can't do that. I fired that safety crew and I brought in one that said I could. But like, yeah, that's him. He had been wanting to hang out of that airplane for 10 years.
And by the way, you look at it and you go, that is bananas. That's a human being.
Yes, hanging out of an actual flying airplane. The fact that he and Doug Liman were going to go to space and make a movie.
And most likely will.
I look at him and I go, all praise to you. I don't have what you have.
And I don't want it.
Yeah.
I can't.
I don't want
can't
it.
imagine doing
I'm glad that you do it because I couldn't.
Right.
I watched, obviously he's not flying an $80 million airplane that's the property of the Department of Defense. He's in it, but he's not flying. Even he admits that.
He's not taking off in a F-14 Tom.
He could, for sure. I guarantee you he could. He has the skills and the capability to do it.
Yeah.
But it's an $80 million plane. The Department of Defense has rules.
Yeah.
But then you see when he comes off that aircraft carrier and the drop happens and his face is smushed back in his thing and you're like, oh shit, he's really in that thing. And I believe that he's flying that thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you see, I think it was like All American or something. He had a movie called Air America.
Or
something.
it wasn't Air America. That was with Downey and Mel Gibson.
Gibson movie.
American Made.
American Made. Did you see that one?
No, but he's definitely flying those planes.
They're doing air to air, and he is flying the shit out of an airplane.
100% that's why he made that movie.
1,000%. By the way, I did the same thing with Chips. I'm like, I want to do cool stunts on a motorcycle. I want everyone to see. They didn't go see it, but I still got to do all the stunts. But I was watching that airplane movie. Like, I know when he's going through so much right now.
Yeah. And by the way, the greatest part of working with him is that he is like, and you're invited. Come on along. Whatever it is.
Join my winning team. He's like Tom Brady.
Exactly. And then when they decided to hold that movie, we all saw it in the summer of 2020.
Oh, wow.
So we all sat 15 seats away from each other with masks on, with hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
And when the movie ended, we were like, who do we tell? Like, oh, fuck.
Yes.
We can't really hug. We can't really high five, but we're going to do it anyway. And then we'll spray ourselves with disinfectant.
Yeah.
2 full years later, that movie comes out.
Yeah. And is the biggest goddamn
But yeah,
the
thank
money.
God he waited.
Yes,
I mean,
he
my
kind of
God.
saved the film business single-handedly.
One of the premieres was down in San Diego, and it was probably half either current or retired Navy. And that is the screening you want to see that movie at when no one knows what this movie is. That place was raucous.
Yeah, I'm surprised pistols weren't being fired.
Like, it might as well have been, like, woo! There were hats thrown.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Oh,
and it
that's
was like,
awesome.
I think we might have a hit.
Yeah.
This one might be good.
Yeah, I saw it and I'm like, oh, this is never leaving the theater. It's just going
And
to
it
run
didn't.
and run and run. Yeah, fuck, what a movie.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Okay, last couple things. Back to Roy Tillman. It's a hard role. It's your id. It's like the shittiest, darkest part of yourself.
I've learned not to ever judge a character that you're playing, right? So that's a
Right.
big part of it. We all know that he's a bad person. But when you're playing him, you have to lean into the fact that he doesn't give a shit, and he thinks what he's doing is 100%
It's
correct.
righteous.
He has the force, which a lot of true believers have, that he is led by a higher being and a deeper sense of commitment, and it is all right. What's great about playing somebody like that is that he's not. And when the hammer comes down, it comes down hard.
You're playing like a sovereign citizen type
and
guy.
all of those guys, it all breaks down. If you look at it too closely, you kind of go, you're neglecting this huge part of what your argument is suggesting.
I think Noah did the most brilliant job of distilling it down to the most simple line of the whole show, which was said to you by Jennifer Jason Leigh, which is like, so you want all of the freedom and none of the responsibility. So you want to be a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only one person who gets that privilege in life, a baby.
So you want to be a baby.
You're
How
fighting
is
for the
that
right to be
scene?
a baby.
Do you remember shooting that scene?
Yeah. Well, first of all, she's unbelievable. And second of all, there was just a lot of dynamics going on in that scene, which were great. Two people that are very comfortable in their own skin and certain of their righteousness. I do remember that day. It was a fun day. And Jennifer's wonderful. It's a tremendous gift to be opposite her. I've been a fan of hers since Fast Times.
Yeah, what's our favorite? They're drug addicts. They're undercover cops.
Rush.
Jason Patrick.
Jason Patrick and Jennifer.
God,
Jason
were
Leigh.
they beautiful in that
Twin
movie.
Jasons.
Yes.
TJ.
How pumped were you when you saw that you were going to say the line, if you're so smart, why are you so dead? Fuck.
Yeah. It's a funny thing, and Noah's talked about this, but there's a limit to what your intellectual superiority can achieve.
We still live in the law of the jungle at times.
Yes. And they go, yeah, I'm smarter than you. Well, great. Good for you. Because this is happening now.
Yeah.
Right.
And now you're dead.
Yeah.
And you're going to be in a hole, and no one's going to find you. And that's the end of that.
It's scary.
It's so scary.
Yeah, because he's real.
Yeah. I'm sure that you've run into a certain element of the world in your travels.
I've bought a lot of drugs and
There's a lot of times
fights.
when you're like in a situation and you go, this can go sideways really fast and I should probably not be here. I've only had a gun pulled on me a couple times and it's never not been everything immediately distills, and whatever the brain chemical that is immediately flooding your brain for me is like, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
This is bad.
Right. You do not want to be here.
You get sober quick and you get out.
Oh, a couple times.
Guns stink, man.
Ugh.
Guns are rough. Guns are rough. They're terrifying. And I grew up around them. My uncles and cousins and everybody were all hunters. We had guns in the house. It was just a thing. And I was like, I don't like the potential of what this can do.
We were shot at when we were 18 in my town. Dude, we had some road things going on with it. Pulled over on the side of the road. We were walking up the porch and we're like, what's this guy doing in his trunk? He was about 200 feet away on the shoulder of the road. What's he getting out of his trunk? Is that a... And then fired it at us. And then fucking hit the brick.
I got shot at in my car. I was driving, heard this pong. That was weird. Did I run over something? And I look over and there's a bullet hole in my front left quarter panel.
What year is this?
91, 92, St. Louis.
Sure.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, that's a 22. That's what that was.
Right.
6 inches to the right and 6 inches higher, and I got shot in the head.
Yeah. Life is, it's precarious. I'm jealous of several of your roles, if I'm being honest. There's several I would have liked to have played. But if I had to say the thing I'm most jealous of your entire career is this 14-year gig with Mercedes.
It's a good one.
You can hit the lotto in weird ways.
That is tremendous because it dovetails nicely with two things that I love, money and cars.
Yes, that's my biggest
It's a good part of the Venn
activators.
diagram.
It would be one thing to have gotten that job as the spokesperson for Hyundai. Great gig, awesome.
All respect to everyone reading for Hyundai.
But I got one that I really, really like. And I get to drive those cars. And for the longest time, the tagline was the best or nothing.
Yeah.
And it's true.
I know.
You drive a Mercedes-Benz and then you drive any other car and you go, oh, it's not a Mercedes.
Here's what happened to me. Most of the shit that's in this driveway is all from Detroit. I very much wanted a Cadillac CTS-V wagon. I had one for like a year on loan from GM. It's so cool. And it was really either between that and the E63 wagon that I ended up with. And I had driven the CTS-V a bunch. And I love Cadillac. And I love General Motors. And I love
bless
Detroit.
a Cadillac. I love a Cadillac.
I got in that fucking Mercedes and I was like, oh, yeah. We're talking about two entirely different things. It says a 7-speed dual clutch trans.
How about when you close the door and it just goes...
It is, I hate to say it, man, they know what they're doing.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
And this is not taking anything away from Cadillac. It's a great car. When I first had the wherewithal to buy a car, and I was like, maybe I want a Cadillac. They just released those CRV-CTVs, whatever they were, that new kind of angular thing. I was like, it's kind of cool looking. They're fast. They got a big V8 in them. I'm like, yeah, man, this feeling like I want to drive some Detroit steel.
And it's a great car.
Very reliable in a way that Fair and Love and War, American cars, were not for
They had a rough
fairly
patch.
long chunk.
Yeah, 70 to about 92.
Yeah, I drove one of those. I was like, damn, I like this. And then I was kind of like fiddling with the buttons and everything. I was like, it feels like a kind of a weird button. And, and at the end of the day, I did not buy a Cadillac.
Well, no, a Mercedes will make you like car. Like, I could have given a fuck about cars.
Yeah.
I had a Prius C.
Yep.
And that was great for me. I would have been happy to
Hell
have driven
yeah.
that forever.
Until.
And then I was gifted a Mercedes.
AMG. I got her a C.
Now I'm like, oh, I get it. I get the
As
car
Lisa Bonet
thing.
taught us, it's a different world.
It is.
She was my number
Oh, for sure.
one.
Stop.
There's never been a more beautiful human on planet Earth.
And then I actually ran into her in person and was like, oh my God, this does not break down.
No, it delivers.
How are you and Lenny Kravitz, and then your daughter is the
Second
most
coming of
beautiful
them. Yes.
in the world. You're all
I
the
wanna-
most beautiful people
I want to be
in
at
the
their
world.
Christmas morning. Yeah, we were one time at a party. She was there. I just told her, like, you're my number one of all time. And there was a dance floor. And I said to Chris, I'm like, I would love to just dance with her. Can I? And she's like, you go
girl.
crazy. And I spent 2 hours dancing with her. And I was like, oh, mama.
She ain't falling for you, so you go for it.
Yeah, exactly. You got
She's
no
good.
shot. Take as many shots as you would like. Yeah, but the Mercedes thing, I have a couple friends that are also on Family Guy. And this is one of these things. It's like year 28. It just keeps going. It's just the most beautiful safety net, isn't it?
It's an annuity. It's great. I also like it.
Yes.
I very much enjoy doing it. I did it yesterday. Inevitably, you're talking to people that aren't in the room. How are you doing in there? And it's people you don't know or a new team on the account. And you go, I'll do it 100 times. I don't care.
Yeah.
I love it.
Have you been invited to an F1 race as one of their
I
guests?
have. I went to the one in Monaco,
You did.
which was
And did
very,
you get like
very cool.
FaceTime with Lewis? Did you get the full
Yes.
platinum package?
Yes, I did. I don't care about flying planes, but I sure would like to drive one of those cars.
Oh, yeah. Downforce versus lift.
Talk about a different animal. I love driving. That's not driving. That's something else. And just to feel it once, they're not going to let me drive a $2.4 million car and
Yeah.
literally hit the accelerator and smash it into the thing. That was fun.
Yes.
Sorry.
Send me the bill.
Yes,
Don't-
I mean,
please
actually,
don't
don't
send me the bill.
bill, because I don't think it's going to be a minute.
Well, the budget of that team is $400 million. So, yeah, I think 2.4 is very light.
So I got to walk through the garage and the paddock and everything, and I was like, oh my God, this is a military operation. It's NASA, and it packs up into 12 big rigs and then drives to the next place and they unpack. And it's one of 10 teams.
Yeah, they have the best aerodynamicists in the world, better than the ones at NASA,
They
better
can
than
do
aerospace.
real-time adjustments. All the telemetrics and all this stuff go to Germany, where there's a team of people crunching numbers. From the test lab, they'll go, okay, change the wing and then 3D print this thing and then screw that in there and then do it and they change it. It's mind-bending.
Yes, the specificity and how meticulous and tedious every part of it is mind-blowing. Yeah, when you get up close and you see the arrow, from TV, it looks impressive. You get close and you're like, oh, there's 3,000 different little wings on this thing.
And I could pick up that car with my fingertips.
Yes. Red Bull sent one over for me to have a viewing party, and it didn't have the motor in it, and I did. I picked it up to spin it around.
If it doesn't have the engine in it, it's nothing.
Piece of carbon fiber. Oh, well, Jon, this was great. I really appreciate you coming. Just the last thing I want to say is I feel like we both have equal and matching enthusiasm about the Sphere. And again, I have no association with the Sphere, but I got to say, it's about the most mind-bending experience I've had off of mushrooms.
At some point, I'd looked over and was talking to somebody and been like, I wonder if this is better or worse or equal or different on drugs, because I wasn't on drugs, but it felt like I kind of was. I want to see this like 3 more times because I feel like I wasn't looking at the right spot at a certain
Yes,
point
you're missing
and I
a
missed
ton.
something. And also the set that you two played was so good. It felt like going to see a concert in the future.
1,000%. I text a friend who had posted, and I said, if you were there on shrooms, do you think your head would explode? And he said, I was on shrooms. My head didn't explode. And now I'm just thinking, like, what the fuck was his experience?
I didn't know that they did this or had this. They do have like a quiet room
They do.
in the place.
To regroup.
I think more than one. Hey, if you need a little
Break.
moment. I remember GoldenEye, There was a video game, I think it was on PlayStation or something. It was a fully first-person shooter. It was one of the first times. And I got like seasick playing it.
Sure.
Because the screen was big enough and it was HD, and I was like, this is too much for
You
me.
need Dramamine to play that game.
I definitely do.
Yeah.
And I felt like some people get a little too absorbed in it and need to take a little break.
Yes. Coupled with the fact that many people are fucked up there.
For
There
sure.
was a couple next to us. That's why I missed half the shit. There was 2 people that were clearly rolling on MDMA.
Uh-huh.
And they were fucking making out in a way that you haven't even seen at
For
a
sure.
junior high dance.
Right.
I
You're
mean,
like,
I was
wow.
like, these 2 are so
They're
in
the
love. I can't
only
keep my
2
eyes.
people at this
Yes.
concert.
I'm like, they're definitely going to fuck standing up, and I'm not going to miss that. I don't care what happens to Bono. Oh,
These guys are bonoing pretty soon.
they got their own Bonoing going.
Oh, that you can leave behind. You could say anything in that voice.
Yeah, I know, yeah. The streets have
Atomic
no
City.
name.
Okay.
It is a beautiful day.
It works with anything.
John, this was so fun. I
Thank
really
you for
appreciate
having
you
me.
coming. Yeah. We didn't like get nitty gritty with Fargo, but we had Juno yesterday and we had Noah, and we got very nitty gritty on both those.
It's a
which
whole
is-
Fargo week.
Yes.
I love a Fargo week. There's a lot for those that haven't seen it that are listening. Take a look. It's enjoyable. And for those that haven't seen the previous seasons of it, it's also pretty fun.
Yeah, what's most important for people to know is like you do not need to have seen any of it. It's completely standalone, but I do believe if you watch this season 5, you will be irresistibly
I was
drawn to see.
pleased to be enshrined in the pantheon of excellent bad guys that they have, because Billy Bob's Lorne Malvo, which is a great name.
Is that the dude who was picking his teeth?
No, that was David Thewlis's V.I. Varga, I think.
Wow, that was intense when he picked his teeth.
Super
with a
good
metal
bad guys. Yeah, where you're like, I don't like this.
I know.
Eating that weird pudding or whatever he was. Ugh, God, it's just so specific and weird.
Did you get any? Well, yeah, you had scenes with him, the Swede.
An amazing actor named Sam Spruill.
And what's his real life persona like?
Just a guy who's like kind of talks like this, and he's like,
Oh, he's British.
Got 2 kids, and I live in London.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And he's a great guy. Another thing that Fargo does so well, it sort of really delves into the supernatural
Yes.
and picks out this thing. And this
Yeah, he's been
guy
alive
who's
for
been
300
alive
years.
for 500 years.
But it works. It's so weird.
Yeah,
it doesn't
it's
take
so
you out.
specific and weird, and you go,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe there is a guy whose job it is to absorb other people's sins, and that's what
Yes.
keeps him alive throughout the millennia. And you're like, ugh, like that's just terrifying.
Yeah,
I don't
I
like
know.
that at all.
Another favorite line of that show this season was him going, "I'm going out, Mom."
Mom, I'm going out.
He's calling that old lady Mom.
That is very endearing.
Well,
The humor is
Pancakes.
fucking off the charts. Man, does
Yeah.
he juggle a bunch of different tones and
Yeah.
it all works.
Yeah. And so do the Coens. I mean, that's really what the shared DNA is, the radical humor in scary and weird moments. You look through their whole canon of work. You look at The Big Lebowski, which is a comedy on the face of it, but its comedy is so sideways. You know, it comes out of hilarious characters.
Well, it's rooted in what, and this is not my saying, this is Todd Phillips. I heard him in an interview and I was like, he just nailed exactly what I think about comedy. He said for him, if comedy's not dangerous, it's not funny. I just think like I need to be a bit scared
Yeah.
to
there's
really
a
enjoy
lot
it.
to say for that.
John.
We did it.
A neighbor, a friend, an incredible actor.
Easiest commute I've ever
doing
had, and I was still late.
That's
Don't
what
you
happens.
agree?
The closer
I'm the
you are.
latest when I'm closest.
I think some of that is because I was going to ride my bike here, and then I was like, do I really? And then I had the dog, and I was like, no, I'll just be late. But I did say I was going to be late.
You did, and that's all we ask. All right, be well, adore you.
Thank
Can't
you.
wait to bump into you again.
See you in the neighborhood.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay tuned for the fact check so you can hear all the facts that were wrong.
All right, we're rolling. I'm going to pee real quick.
Okay.
It's kind of like that thing you and I have talked about in the past. It shocks me you don't do this because we're so similar. But
Do what?
how I would stare in the mirror and embarrass myself.
Okay. I did it the other day.
No.
And
how could you not update me on
I
this?
didn't stare. I didn't stare, but I was just like doing something
Cool.
gross.
Yeah, cool stuff.
And I then was like, oh, this is sort of what he's talking about. I do it all the time.
Okay, great.
But because I'm by myself, I live by myself, I'm single,
Yes, you're a single.
I don't really notice how often it's happening because I just live like that.
Right. But I still do it a ton and I live with people. Because I'm never with anyone when I'm in the mirror.
I think you might notice it more when you're doing that because you aren't doing it with other people around in your house. You're doing it when you have like stolen time. My whole life is stolen time.
Sure, but mostly it's just anytime I'm in front of a mirror, I get this impulse to embarrass myself.
Yeah.
And so it was just happening where I was like really enjoying how embarrassing I could be. We just had a guest that's young, and I had joked many times that I want to get invited over to their house for like wine night.
Yeah.
This whole fantasy I have about, I don't know what they do. But anyways, I was going to walk into this party if they do invite me. And I was going to walk in and go, Hollywood. And I don't even know why. I just know that would be like so embarrassing at my age.
Yeah.
To say, Hollywood.
It would be. It really would be.
Taylor Swift. Where are my Swifties? As soon as I walk in.
Oh, God. It's because it's like a little wrong, right? That's why it's funny because it's no.
I'm not getting it
You're
correct.
not getting it right.
Of course. But I like that feeling.
Of embarrassing yourself.
Yeah, a lot. I'm so glad you're doing it. What's your methodology? Do you like look at yourself in the mirror and go like,
No.
okay.
No, mine doesn't really happen in the mirror.
Oh.
I just,
You start moving in a weird way.
I like will move weird or I'll talk to myself and it's weird.
Yes.
Or like voices.
Can you do a voice?
No.
I really
I'm
need
not,
some
no one will ever
closed
see
circuits
it.
camera of your living
Well, you
room.
already have one. That's how you.
That's how I knew about xanthan gum.
That's right.
Hollywood, what's up, my Swifties?
Oh,
I brought wine. Like, I think wine is so.
I know.
it's
You
just
think
for
it's
young-
so young.
I know.
It's so weird because wine.
Was an old people thing, but I do think
Is it old-
I do feel like young people because Nina has a wine company.
Okay, it's all based on Nina?
Mostly, probably.
Nina Dobrev,
you
shout
drink
out.
wine like a motherfucker.
I'm not young.
You are, and you were even younger when you were drinking your wine.
Okay.
I think young people do it to feel mature.
That is true. Like
Yeah.
in college, we sometimes drank wine, and it was to be advanced,
That's right, to be mature.
to be mature. But now I am mature, so now it's just.
I just need this wine to get through the day.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And do you find that you're doing these weird activities more or less when you have a little buzz? How does a buzz affect your like in the house routine? So I think mine got crazy.
That's a great
If I was
question.
getting like tipsy, I would just start getting so silly by myself.
So
yeah,
weird.
yeah.
I'm sure it gets worse. Yeah, I've never thought about that. But I do it sober all the time, too.
Yeah, same.
I feel like no one really even knows me.
Isn't that how we all feel? We're all waiting for someone to see us.
No, I don't want anyone to see.
Oh, okay.
I don't want anyone to see these parts.
You don't want any. Isn't the desire that someone would really know you?
Nope.
No way.
th-
Too risque.
These parts of me are mine only. Not nobody knows me, and that's a joke. There are parts that nobody has seen. That is true.
Even Callie?
Yes.
So that saddens me as your best buddy because what I love about Aaron and I is that we live in almost exclusively the zone that makes us embarrassed in the mirror. And that's the great joy of the friendship is like us in the motorhome before the family got there.
Yeah.
How weird the songs we're singing are they're just insane.
Yeah.
And they're getting weirder and weirder and weirder. And we're getting weirder and weirder. And I feel so unconditionally loved that I'm at my the version of myself I would most hide from people. I am like almost exclusively that way around Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big appeal of the friendship. So I know how I feel having Aaron's unconditional love that way.
Yeah.
And so as your buddy, of course, I want you to do this weird stuff in front of me so that you would know like, oh yeah, zero impact. In fact, liking more.
I know, but it's not about anyone liking me more or less. And I do have unconditional love from her, for sure. I don't think it's at risk if I do that. it's just
for
for
you.
me. Like
Your private time.
Yeah. It's not that I feel like the friendship has anything to do with that.
Uh-huh. That makes sense.
It's just for me. Some things are just for me in this life.
Still very much want to see them all.
I imagine you want to see them more now that you know that nobody can see them.
Probably.
Yeah.
Do you want to see all my weird mirror stuff?
Yeah, I think I
You think
have.
you see a lot?
Yeah. I don't think you're as
guarded.
Yeah, with your mirror stuff.
Yeah. Too late. I'm running out of time. You
No,
know.
don't say that. Knock on wood.
Okay, knock. Chop, chop, chop.
I don't like that.
Okay.
I don't like that at all.
But if I'm not gonna be myself, if I don't do it now, like we're running out of time.
But okay. Here's the other thing. It's not like the self is different than that self. It's just that part's not in this relationship. Does that make sense? It's not like I'm actively holding it back.
Well, certainly you are.
No, I'm not.
Like if you had the impulse as walking through my living room to go like, ooh, like do something really fucking weird.
Yeah.
You would stop yourself.
Of course.
Yes.
But I would never have that impulse.
Oh, it doesn't just hit you sometimes?
No. I would never have that impulse with anyone around. Like it's not something I'm like, oh, I want to be crazy. I can't.
I can keep a lid on it.
No. If it did hit me, I would do it.
Okay.
But it's never
gonna
hit.
hit. Yeah.
It's never hit.
It's different.
It's different when you're by yourself. You have an interesting relationship to embarrassment, though.
I do. Yeah.
You don't hate embarrassment as much as me.
For sure. It's almost a kink of mine.
Yeah, you get off
I
on
like it a lot. Yeah. It's so embarrassing. Like, it's funny. The only word I can come up with that explains it is it's so embarrassing. It just gives me the giddiest. Like, it's so, you feel so naked.
Yeah.
And it's such a unique feeling.
Yes, but I want to bring something up.
Okay.
I think we have a different relationship to embarrassment in the conventional sense of tripping and falling or having a booger on your face.
Farting on a guest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the true embarrassment in life is when you like feel stupid. Like that's what it all is, right? It's like when you feel stupid. You don't feel stupid when you trip and fall. You feel like you're like, oh my God,
I do. My explanation is an older brother.
No, but you don't like feeling stupid intellectually. You don't like it.
No, I don't.
I don't think you do well feeling like you are.
I get angry.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
not embarrassed.
But I think it's out of embarrassment. You get that type of embarrassment, intellectual embarrassment. You get angry, just like I get sad, emotional.
Okay, so I do know what you're talking about, and I can think of a specific moment where it was like I hated this feeling, and it was when I was directing Parenthood. And I'd already directed a bunch, so I felt confident as a director.
Yeah.
But of course, it's a much different dynamic because you're appeasing the writers and the producers when you're directing a TV show. You're not actually the boss as a director on a TV show. And so this thing was happening in a scene, and let's add, it's not like they know how good of a director I am or am not, and they're all there to help anytime one of the actors would direct an episode.
Yeah.
So it was like this little tiny thing that needed some figuring out, as always happens. And I probably needed about 5 minutes to think about it, and I would have been delighted. But people started coming, and I could feel that they thought they were bailing me out. And I was getting this very panicked feeling that was really all-encompassing. Like, oh my God, no, I know what I'm doing. Like, that was an embarrassment. And it was all consuming in a way. Well, then it was a thing. Right. Then I really needed about 10 minutes to get away from everyone to figure out what I wanted to do with this thing.
Yeah.
It took over.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm melting down right now because they've made me. I am feeling insecure because of their kindness, whatever. And that got overwhelming. That's kind of the last memory I have of that. But it's funny. I see it. Delta doesn't have it. She has a
yes, she does.
She has a different thing, which is something I don't mind. Right? Hers is never about a lack of competence. That's not what she gets embarrassed about. She gets embarrassed like when you repeat what she says or these certain things.
But she feels embarrassed
for sure,
which is why, and she gets angry.
Yep,
that's her response.
But Lincoln's, I always see, the way Lincoln gets embarrassed is identical to how I do, and I see how absolutely all-consuming it is and how she can't think in it.
Yeah.
And it's always triggered by the same thing that triggers me, which is like someone thinks I'm incompetent. That's never what Delta's is. It's not really about competence.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's such a powerful feeling.
It is.
It's so unique.
Yeah, I hate it.
Except for when
really
you're in your
hate it.
apartment.
I'm not embarrassed then.
Oh.
It's only embarrassing.
When you think about
in
someone
relation,
observing you
exactly.
doing it. Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think of a time I was embarrassed and I liked it. A true sense of embarrassment.
So clearly
Literally
you're
never.
You're getting weird in your apartment.
Yeah, but I'm
And
not
then-
embarrassed by it.
I know, but then it crosses your mind, what if someone walked in right now and saw that?
Yeah.
And then you get the little shock.
Yeah, I'm just like,
So you
oh.
are by yourself and
Yeah.
you get that shock of embarrassment. Do you enjoy it then?
Well, I don't enjoy it. I just think like, oh God, like
Oh.
I'm weird.
Yes.
And,
I like
and
weird
that's
people.
fine. It's,
Yeah.
I don't feel like, oh no, I'm weird. It's just a reminder like, oh yeah, I'm fucking weird.
The cornerstone of some of my really good friendships growing up were finding another boy who was willing to get so weird and
Yes.
make really weird faces. And
I
all that.
agree. When I was young, I was a lot weirder. I was a
Oh.
lot more open with my weirdness.
Yeah.
My freak flag.
Yeah. It's very sad that we all...
I know. It gets extinguished a bit.
Colin Garlack was the kid who... He and I would sit...
What a name.
I know. Now he goes by Cole. I should call him Cole. But when this story takes place, he was Colin. In fact, he had a elementary school teacher tell him, that's not your name. Your name is Colin.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But he and I would get in his back of his trailer and we would just make faces and weird noises and we would freak out together.
that's
It was
fun.
so comforting.
Yeah. I was so hyper.
Mm-hmm.
And with hyperactivity comes
Yeah.
weirdness.
Yes.
And I'm not hyper anymore. That's what the other day, or maybe when I thought of it yesterday, or whenever this happened, I was feeling a little bit hyper.
Right. I've seen you hyper several times.
I like it. I miss that feeling. I used to be so hyper, and I was so fun when I was hyper.
Right. Playful.
I was very playful.
Have you seen... So Lincoln and I have the friendship that Colin and I had.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever seen it? Like, we'll start making faces at each other, and it can go on for 20 minutes, and we're making the ugliest... We're trying to make the ugliest sounds and faces, and we do it together, and it's so fun.
nice.
And it does bring me back
That is nice.
to a simpler time.
Sometimes Delta gets very hyper.
Yo, God, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really understand it when she's in that space. Like, I remember it
Yeah.
so viscerally. Remember
And
I used to
she's-
lick my grandma?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I was so hyper.
You lick her everywhere.
I did. I was just,
Cock-
I need to get energy
I
out.
need to get freaky with you. Remember that song?
No. Who is it?
It's like JJ and JoJo or
Oh, Casey and JoJo?
something like that.
I loved
I
Casey
wanna
and
get
JoJo.
freaky with you. Rob will find it right now.
Go ahead and find
So
it.
easy to find. I don't know what's
Silk.
taking him so long.
Freak me. It's
No.
Because
Play.
tonight, baby, I want to get freaky with you.
No, hit play. Let's see. Yeah, I guess. I gotta hear the chorus, but I know this song well. I love when guys sing from the bottom of like, I want to get freaky. Like they're declaring the deepest recess of love.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
really
it.
true.
I wanna get freaky. He's almost crying.
He is.
Yeah, he was. He was in the video, too.
So emotional. I've never heard it.
Oh, you
That
haven't?
was brand new for me.
Silk.
1992.
Boom.
Well, okay, so here we are again, day 2 Fargo week.
Yay.
Yay.
This to me rounded out the week beautifully. I'm so glad we ended up getting him.
Me too.
Yeah.
Good job. You did that.
Oh, thank you. Well, let's be honest. Jimmy Kimmel did that. Thank you, Jimmy Kimmel. You fucking best friend in the world.
Yeah, good boy.
Good boy. Jimmy Kimmel, best boy
Jimmy
ever.
Kimmel, best boy ever.
Best boy award this year goes to... There should be a Best Boys award.
Okay, let's give him out.
Okay. Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, he's boy.
Yeah, he's the best. Mac is the best boy.
Oh, Mac the dog.
Bilby. Yeah, Bilby. He's always
Okay,
the
let's
best
give
boy.
out 5 best boy awards.
Okay.
Okay,
Jimmy
Kimmel,
Kimmel, Bilby.
Max. I mean,
Oh my God, Monica.
Sorry.
He's passed. You gotta
it's not
remember.
my fault he passed.
You gotta respect him. He's passed. You can make that mistake while he's living, but not when he's passed.
Okay, Mac the dog is number 2.
Right. So I've thrown out 2. You got to throw.
Okay,
one
I
out.
think best boy award goes to Tony Hale.
Oh, very good pick for Best Boy Award.
And we have 2 more slots. Rob, do you want to pick one? It doesn't have to be a friend of the pod.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because Mac is not a friend of. I mean, he is.
He's the heart and soul of this pod. Rest
You
in
almost
peace,
fired me for saying that.
Max.
It was
What
an
a
accident.
pedestrian name.
Hey.
I'm teasing. Like Mac is so elevated.
And also, it rhymes with your name.
Yeah, and your sister's husband.
That's right.
Your sister husband. What if Rob was typing in best boy?
I know. I can totally see
Who
it.
is the best boy? Actually, type in who is the best boy and see.
okay.
You can't use one, but I
Okay.
am curious what the internet
I was gonna
thinks.
say Nicholas Holt.
Oh,
Interesting
interesting. Best boy.
It's very revealing who we pick as best boys.
Yes, it is.
Best boy or just getting a job description? Or who is
Oh,
the
right.
best
That's
boy?
the name. That's the title on a movie set.
Ding, ding, ding.
Best boy.
Jon Hamm has been in movies.
Or perfect integration.
Rami. I'll change mine to Rami, actually.
Okay.
Rami is
That's better.
definitely a best boy.
Sorry, Nicholas Holt.
Yeah.
I love Nicholas
He's
Holt.
just too
but I wouldn't-
tall. He's too tall to be a best boy, I think.
Well, he's too sexual.
He's very sexy.
Yeah.
Not that Tony Hill's not sexy or Jimmy,
Yeah.
but yeah, I agree.
There's
Nicholas
too
Holt.
there's too much hunger.
Nicholas Holt is
Sexy.
yeah, but he's not. He can't.
Oh my God, I'm confusing. I agree with that much more than I thought. I got confused.
Nick Braun, you were thinking?
I was. I'm
Oh.
like, that's a weird pick for best boy.
That's a weird pick. Nicholas Holt's a weird pick. He's like a sexy model.
I know, but he's so nice and kind of like,
Yeah, that's kind of.
like
I
shockingly.
don't think he is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's a freak, you think?
He
wants
dated
to-
Jennifer Lawrence.
I
That's
wanna get freaky with you.
Yeah,
yeah.
you want more of like a Daniel Ricciardo type.
Danny's not the best
He's
boy.
mischievous.
He's a rascal.
He's a rascal, but he is the best boy too.
Well, we love him. Okay, let's be.
Okay.
Just because you're not the best boy doesn't mean we don't love you so much. I might love you more than I love the best boys.
But not more than Jimmy. We love him the most.
Okay, I
He's
love Jimmy
best
the most,
boy.
and he's the best boy.
Yeah.
But he's the only one I love the most, and is
We
the
need
best.
to get something made. Rob, you're great at this. I
Should
hate
we
to
make him
delegate
something?
this. Yeah, but he's, he gives so many presents and he's so good at. We should make him a best boy award.
Done. Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be great.
Jimmy Kimmel best boy.
Best boy award goes.
Speaking
to,
of, you have to work on that chart about
I've got all the data. I just need to figure out now.
a pie. It needs to be like a wheel with
I know.
colors.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we have one left. I like Rami.
that's a really good one. I
Yeah.
love that. I definitely agree with Rami.
Now we have to all agree on the last one. That was Rami Youssef for people who don't know.
Are
him.
trying to keep up to speed
People that haven't
with
seen any movies.
Yeah. Although, I want to. Sorry, I'm poking a hole in Rami.
Okay.
I love him. I think he's. I don't know how to play this game because it feels like I'm going to insult someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause you know-
this is the nature of award shows.
Oh,
There's more losers than there are winners.
Well, no, I might insult the best boys by saying what I'm about to say.
Okay.
It's kind of what I just said about Nicholas Holt. Like, he's too sexy to be a best boy. That's, like, not nice to the best boys.
Yeah,
Right, 'cause
you're
Kimmel-
offending
Kimmel
Tony.
is
He's
hot.
sexy.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
He's very sexy.
He's a sex machine.
Yes.
Make him that award.
Sex machine.
I think Rami's too...
Intellectual.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I think that's a tricky
No, I'm being serious.
metric to introduce
Best
to
boy is a vibe.
But yes, but
An
Tony
innocence.
Hal.
There's something.
Oh,
like,
but-
there's something.
But Jimmy's not
ignorance.
innocent, and yet he is the
He's
ultimate
not
best boy.
innocent, but he's, like...
Endlessly
kind.
thoughtful,
Pure.
generous.
He's not pure, but there's a kindness to
I
him.
would put Rob in the category for best boy.
Oh, wow.
I would, yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, you know who the ultimate best boy is? Matt Collins. He's such a
Matt-
best boy.
Matt's a best boy. Yeah.
100%.
Like Josh Hutcherson.
Yeah, he's a best
But
boy.
Josh is
You think
Freaky
everyone's
too.
so
Spain.
sexy.
All right, so we have Jimmy number 1, Mac Dog
Bilby.
number 2. Who'd I say?
Rami Youssef. You said Tony Hale.
Tony Hale, Rami, and Matt Collins.
Collins.
Wow, what a group.
What an all-star cast of best
And honorable
boys.
mention Rob, but he can't be because he has to vote also.
He's part of the
You
voting
can't
committee.
vote for yourself.
Okay,
It's part of the rules.
that makes sense.
Okay, now who are the best girls? It's harder to do, don't you think?
Well, Lincoln's the best girl for sure.
We can't do family members.
Okay.
It's not only Mac.
Okay.
It's harder to do with girls.
Jenna Ortega.
Well, because it's implicitly harder with girls because the category is best boys. So that right out
guess
of the
that
gates
makes it
makes
hard.
it a little challenging. Amy's a best boy.
Yes.
Amy's a big time best boy.
Amy is a best boy. Okay,
Yeah.
the top 5 women who are best boys. Amy Hansen.
That's the category. She's like the Kimmel of the category.
She's number 1.
Uh-huh.
You guys don't know well enough. Allison Kirksey is a best boy. Allison Anthony's wife is
Okay.
100% a best boy.
Oh, that's nice.
She's so, her and Amy are kindreds. Amy Hansen, Allison Kirksey, Lombardo.
There's a couple people that you don't know that I know through Kristen that are big time best boys.
Okay, who?
Peachy.
Oh, I
Have
love
you met Peachy?
Yes.
She's a big time best boy.
Peachy's a best boy, and I think she listens, so shout out.
Yeah, Peachy's a major best boy. And I would say that you might think she's too horny, which is a good complaint. But Ange Gramalius, Angie.
Angie is
She's an incredible best boy.
not a best boy. I love her. I
too
love
horny?
her so much, but no way. No way. Well, who are people that people would know?
Right, because they don't know Peachy
They don't know Peachy or Allison or Amy.
Angie. Or Amy.
Ange is not. I can't sign off.
Okay.
She's awesome. I love her.
She's so sweet. That little voice. She has the sweetest voice of any person I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Should we call her so you can hear her voice?
Minka Kelly.
No.
Okay.
We need one more?
No, 2. We need 5 more.
No, okay.
4 more.
We got a
Whoa,
table.
we have all the time in the world.
Okay.
Okay. Who have we had on who's a best girl? We definitely have. Best boys are a little
Hump.
Hufflepuff. Yeah, like pretty much everyone in the Best Boys are Hufflepuffs.
Except for Kimmel. He's definitely... This is like who's on first.
Kimmel's a Hufflepuff.
No.
I think so.
No, he's
I'm not a Hufflepuff.
He's Grendeldorf.
You are not. You also that's
He's
enough.
you're Slytherin.
Exactly. And
You're Slytherin.
100%, I just remembered Rob is definitely not a best boy because he's so rascally. He would never qualify.
He's so sweet, though.
Doesn't
It's
matter.
incredible.
Doesn't matter. That's a veneer.
Oh.
And underneath there's
I think the rascal.
rascality.
No, I would go the opposite. I would say because he had to be a boy, he had to carve out some rascaliness to survive in Chicago. But really, he's a best boy.
That's not how it works.
Okay.
It's not what's underneath. It's
okay. It's what's on the surface.
what we see.
Okay.
It's my shield.
It's your shield. Which, if you have a shield, you can't be a best boy.
Mandy Moore.
Oh, that's a good one.
Really good.
Loved Mandy.
Yep. Big time best boy. Okay.
Okay, you want to be done with this. Man.
What?
No, I was just like, that was
a fun exercise.
that was a very fun exercise.
But remember when Jedediah was on talking about that a lot of gay men have best boy syndrome?
Yes,
So I just want to delineate. This is different than best boy syndrome
definitely. It's
Yeah.
just best boys.
because I don't think any gay men made the list, which would be confusing if you thought we were talking about that best boy syndrome.
I wouldn't even say Matt Damon's a best boy as much as he's
No, he's not.
my best boy, but he's not a best boy.
No, he's got a...
They can't be from New
He's got a
York.
potty mouth. He's from
Or
Boston.
I mean, but they can't be from the East.
Yeah.
Well,
That like
Kimmel.
hardens it a little bit.
Again, Kimmel doesn't. Kimmel violates every single part of the best boy definition, yet he is the ultimate best boy.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, here we are again. Jon Hamm, not a best boy.
No.
But a cool guy.
Yeah, cool guy. A
And
jock?
Jimmy.
What?
Jimmy's a best boy and a cool guy.
Big time.
How's he doing this?
He's a man of many talents and colors and facets.
Okay, well, we got on this subject because Jimmy helped get John
There we
on.
go. That's right. He single-handedly.
Yes, because I went all the conventional routes.
Yep.
It was a no.
And I had originally, asked Kimmel, while acknowledging this is very inappropriate, but if you would be comfortable giving me his number, the irony being, and then I explained why, and then he's like, I'll text him first. And then my phone rings, And by God, it says Jon Hamm. He's already in my phone. So I went through all of that and I had his number, but I did not remember having his number. So I didn't even look.
Wow.
I should look if Donald Glover's in my phone.
You met him for the first time today, right, Jon Hamm?
Yes, for the fifth and first time.
Yeah.
I want to give people an update because I think people know how into him I am. I am texting with Anderson .Paak now. There's been a big
That's
development.
huge.
Yeah. And I'm going to eat at his restaurant on Saturday.
You are?
Yeah.
I am proud of you. Or not proud. I'm happy for you.
Oh, thank you.
But I'm not proud.
Good.
All to say, they were in the same boat as we were with Juno. We recorded with Jon today.
Uh-huh.
Did you write any facts down, Rob? No, because you thought we were going to do it tomorrow.
Correct.
Understandable.
I haven't. Let me.
I
look at my
thought,
notes.
and there were some, so
There
that's
were?
a bummer. Yeah.
I wish you and I could disconnect our noses like from here to here.
Okay.
Clunk, like
Pull 'em
Mr.
off.
Potato Head.
Yeah.
And switch noses.
Why?
It'd be so fun to look
To
at each
see-
other with each other's noses on our...
Do you think, I have a feeling if we did that,
Yeah.
we'd realize they're very similar.
I'm flattered. Then.
I think so.
I think your nose is far more attractive than mine.
No.
Yeah.
I have a huge nose. We all know this.
don't
We
have
all
a-
knows this.
You do not have a huge nose.
Yes, I do.
But I have a huge nose.
We have the same nose.
I wonder if we switch noses and we'd go, oh, fuck, we were supposed to switch.
That's what I'm saying.
But it'd just be darker. Yours would look
yeah.
crazy. I think it'd look crazier to have a white nose on a brown face than a brown nose on a white face. Because you could just think I didn't
Shadows.
put sunblock on
Yeah,
that. And
sure.
it's really tan, which does happen. My nose is so big, it sucks in all the radiation. It gets much more tan than the rest of my face.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But don't you think it would look crazy if you had a big, huge white nose on your face?
Yeah,
a
it
little bit
would.
red. Red and white.
The coloring
and terrible
would-
skin.
Be different.
Hmm.
Oh, I wish we could do it because I bet my nose would look not huge on your face because my face is smaller.
Yeah. We should get someone to digitally do it. It's got to be easy.
My nose is big for my face, but it might not be big on your face.
How about this? And I feel bad requesting this,
Mm-hmm.
but people do make art of us. And it's really good.
It is.
And we've never requested because that seems entitled.
Yeah.
But I'm throwing it out there. Like, if you are someone that's making a painting of us and you have the skill set, I would love to see a painting with our noses switched.
And do you want the color? Like, how do you
Yes,
want
the color's got to be accurate.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh.
Just the nose. Any other pieces?
No, we'll start with the nose, see how that goes.
Oh. So they have to make a lot of paintings.
Profile
probably in the
view?
future. Oh, I hate
just-
my profile.
Well, is that the you're gonna see it?
No,
but
no,
that's-
dead on.
Dead on.
Yeah.
I could do that in Photoshop.
You think you could do that quite easily?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm very much looking forward to this. TBD, maybe we'll put this up on the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, people will
Okay.
be like, what?
What happened to their face?
The poor person who stopped listening because of Squatty Potty, they'll never be able to find out why
Well,
it's there.
that's on
Price you
them.
pay.
That is the price you pay. It is sad when you see baby, like this picture of me. Her nose is so sweet looking.
Same with me. If you look at me in junior high, you're like, that kid had a shot. Look at that cute little button nose.
Yeah.
Little freckles all over it. My hair wasn't gray. A lot of things. My chin looked stronger. Lips were huge, though. Lips were always huge. Okay. They only got smaller because my face got bigger. But this is the same size lips I've had since I was 8 years old.
You always say your lips are big,
They're big.
but I don't think that. And maybe it's because you grew up with lips that were big, but now your face has grown into them.
That's possible. Also, my father had a huge bottom lip. Okay. And so I think I was like conscious of his and then realizing I was getting it as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, and my lips are bigger than my brother's. I was known to have I have a big mouth and lips. This is really what the Zach Braff similarity is it's the mouths.
Is it?
I don't know. Rob Swasher.
There's plenty of that on the
Yeah,
internet.
you're
I
gonna
don't know that
swab
we
your
need to
noses.
do any swabs.
Well, I do have that face swap photo of Zach and I, and it is so confusing, man. It is fucking so weird.
It is weird.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I want to know someone who looks so much like me.
Well, we may find that person here
You?
soon when we go back to the motherland.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, all the Indian actresses I've seen on TV, they don't look like me. Do you agree? Like, have you?
Well, which of these many Indian actresses are you? Mindy?
Mindy.
Priyanka?
Yes. Mindy, Priyanka.
All the girls from the Mindy show.
Yep. The girl from Devs.
Well, fuck though. Remember how identical I thought you looked to the girl that was in Stranger Things?
That's her. That's the girl.
Oh, yes, and she was in Devs. I think you guys look a lot alike.
I think that's because of Indian brownness.
No, because I don't think you look like those other. I don't think this
Really?
is racism. I think
That's not racism.
I think you guys look a lot alike. Same eyes and
Let me look her
mouth.
up again.
Yeah.
Devs,
She's the main girl?
the Indian girl.
Linnea Berthelsen.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah. I'm friends with her.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I follow her on Instagram.
They're not going to let you at that party.
Exactly. I don't think you can say you're friends with someone and not know their name. I think that's like a good just like rule of thumb.
That's
okay?
the young people.
Yeah. Young people have that rule.
Okay.
She's Danish, not Indian, too.
Well, she is Indian, but she's been adopted by Danish parents.
Linnea is a Danish name. I
What do
do
you think,
not
Rob? Do you
look like
think-
her.
do you think they
I wish
look
I
like-
did. She's beautiful.
I can see it.
You got to look at her. Type in her name and Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah, even more in Stranger Things.
Right?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
Stranger Things, I was like, oh my God, Monica's on screen. And she had a shaved side.
That's why.
Or actually, I
he's
think it's
obsessed.
tight braids, but that's what really made me.
I
No,
know
it's
the
shaved.
whole
It's shaved
thing
side.
about shaved sides is actually
It
it was
stems-
never shaved sides.
No, it's shaved
I know.
sides.
Is it shaved?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great.
Oh.
And so I was like, oh, this girl looks just like Monica, and this girl looks so cool with shaved sides. Monica should try this.
I feel sorry for her about this conversation
Why?
because she's beautiful, and no one's allowed to say anything right now. I'm just saying I don't look like her, and it's like
do you like Rob that she's just like, let me tell the truth, the final truth of
I
this.
am-
My opinion is the final truth.
no, because we're not going to do this thing, right?
But
Where
hold
you're
on,
trying
I
to
know.
convince
We're not going to do that. It's boring. That was a 2024 thing. We're going to stop talking about that we're not attractive.
Yeah,
right.
we are.
We're over that.
Exactly.
But we do agree that not even in general, like 99% of the time, people never think they look like the person other people think they look like. That is very standard.
I think that's not true.
It is.
You
There's
know
so
about
many
Zach
people-
Braff.
I think we're one of the anomalies that we both agree. But everyone I've met who looks so much like somebody and I tell them, they're like, no, I don't. It's always like such a reaction.
Rob, do you think you do kind of look like Elijah Wood? Like you can see it.
I can see it.
Yeah.
But you think, we agree that, you and I agree that she looks in Stranger Things
Yeah.
a ton like Monica, right?
Yeah.
And in Devs.
Yeah.
Well, I forget why we brought this up, but basically Indian people, oh yeah, Indian people.
You don't look like Indian people,
I-
but it turns out you look like a Danish Indian.
Anyway, she's in Vogue. Never been in Vogue. Actually, there was an article about me in Vogue. That was
There
very,
you go.
very
You
cool.
guys are virtually living parallel lives and look identical.
Anywho, okay, I do kind of look like her in this
Jesus.
one picture.
Finally.
I'll give you one picture.
Okay. I wonder
Okay.
if she'll be in India when we go.
Call her. You're friends with her.
I'm going to call her and see if she's going to be down there.
Okay. There are no facts, obviously, because we are circling the drain on this fact check.
Yeah, that's okay. It was
Mac the dog.
listen, it's a bonus episode. There's already more content than anyone's expecting.
right.
So, I can only feel so bad.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah,
There
honestly,
go.
you are
That's the
welcome
spirit.
because
That's what
we-
keeps you from being a best boy, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. And that common joke that you love so much.
Well, also then his joke the other day, it almost came
Twin
up in
flames
here.
was
Twin
great.
flames.
It was great.
that fucking.
That was your best joke.
Oh my God, it's so good. Well, I love you. That was a great week.
Yeah.
We pushed
Well, we
hard.
have one left Thursday.
Yeah. One
Oh,
left.
but I see what you mean.
I mean, like, just
For
getting
us.
all this done in the time frame we did. It was really hard, and I'm grateful for both of you. And I love when we pull something off, and we did.
Last shout out, Jimmy Kimmel.
Best boy. This year's Best
And
Boy Award.
cool
goes-
guy.
And cool guy and sexy guy.
And sexy
Sexy
man.
boy. Sexy boy.
No, it
He's a
has
sexy
to be.
boy.
No, it can't be.
I see. That's
Yep.
how he ends up in two different categories.
It's best boy, cool guy, sexy man.
Beautiful. I would like to be considered for cool man, I guess.
That's not one. You want to be a cool guy?
Oh, cool guy.
And do you want if
Sexy
you had?
man. I want sexy
This is a
man,
good
too.
question.
Okay.
Which one? Oh,
Well, we can. We can roll one out right away.
you don't care about Best Boy.
Fuck Best Boy. Although, if it were like Jimmy's version, yes. Because again, Jimmy's not a Best Boy that he is a Best Boy.
He's the only one in all three. We already said that.
Yeah.
So if you had to pick your bucket,
Sexy or cool?
cool guy or sexy man?
That is a real tough one. I think cool is the safer route because girls will be attracted to cool, and then guys are attracted to cool, but they hate sexy guys.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's the most to cover the widest net.
Yeah.
would be the cool guy award. How about you?
It's hard. It's hard for
Best
me.
boy, cool.
I'm not
guy
ruling
or
out Best
sexy
Boy
man?
as quickly as you as wanting, but I'm not one.
Right. Right.
I think I want to be. God, I think I want to be a sexy man.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's because the reality is I'm a cool guy.
Careful.
I am.
We have a commitment.
You know, that's,
But what's interesting though is
I'm happy to be a cool guy.
I actually think I am a cool guy.
Yeah,
I
you
do.
are.
And so I'm weirdly picking, like, I'm
Yeah,
not.
you're picking what
I'm
you
not-
are.
Right.
Wow, that's advanced. That's very 2024.
Jedi. Very Jedi of me.
Jedediah Jenkins.
Jedediah
Friend of the
Jenkins.
pod. All right, love you.
I love you. Bye.